Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this May 1st, 2015 global transmission. It is May Day, the occultic high holy day that was then adopted by the Illuminati in the 1770s and then later by the Marxist and Communist. And coming up at the bottom of the second hour, I'm going to take a few minutes out to break down the history of May Day for folks out there. In the meantime, obviously there have been giant developments on the Baltimore Freddie Gray situation, separating out Freddie Gray, separating out militarization of police, separating out the thugification of the country in general, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, cop, non-cop, separating all that out. This story is being pushed by the controlled media and the bad guys to cause destabilization in this country. People say, well, what are you going to do about the cops? I'm the guy that made 4 films and wrote a book and is known as Mr. Anti-Police State. I'm against the police state. That doesn't mean I'm against the police, because I understand the State Department Memorandum 7277 that's been out since 1962, the UN UNESCO General and Complete Plan for Total Disarmament of the people, then the states and the police, then the feds, with only the UN being armed. And you can search Memorandum 7277. You can click Google Images. You can find the entire original manual. You can read the text of it. It's a big deal. And to understand what's happening, you have to get the facts that they use civil wars that the globalists stage in Libya or Syria or Ukraine or countless other places to then bring in the globalist forces and the IMF World Bank bailout, where they're there as saviors, not as occupiers. That's how it's sold after long periods of civil unrest. And again, if you just Google State Department Memorandum 7277, you can click on up in the upper corner there, the blue version. That is the original version right there. And they've got the entire scans online for folks that want to read it. The United States Program for General and Complete Disarmament in a Peaceful World. This is official policy. You see right down there in the images, guys, where it shows the UN helmets? See the helmets there underneath the UN symbol? There's a block of, right there, see? And it goes through. The U.S. has its troops phased out. Russia has theirs phased out. Every other power has their troops phased down, including their police. And then the peacekeeping machinery, the UN forces, their helmets get bigger. They build up while we build down, to use the Orwellian Pentagon term for reducing the military. So the old-timers saw this, heard all this, went crazy, warned everybody. We've held it back a long time, but it's now here. And Michael Moore is gone public. We have video of it. It's up on Infowars.com. I told you this was coming last week and yesterday. Word for word, I told you, Michael Moore and George Soros and others and the feds and Michelle Obama and this mayor that ordered the stand down of the police so things would get out of hand. Michael Moore calls for full disarmament of the police once prisons cleared. Just release all the criminals and take all the guns from everybody but the federal government. Told you that was coming. And after the Civil War, they're going to try to pass it. You want the news behind the news, the story behind the story? You want facts? You want historical context? You want documentation? You want an open bias to tell the truth and not back down? An open bias to defend every basic human liberty viciously in the face of out-of-control tyranny? Well, you found the right place. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Jakari Jackson is our only guest today, joining us from Baltimore, Maryland, in the aftermath of huge new developments, along with Joe Biggs. I had some other guests, but we have moved them to next week because there is just so much to cover. Before I go any further, all the pieces have clicked together. The battle plan, the globalist destabilization program, all of it is exactly as we basically predicted. The problem is I have gone into false flag, I've gone into federalization, globalization, I've gone into Hegelian dialectics, I've gone into the admitted stand down of the police under orders, which is now official and admitted, so things will get out of hand. I've explained the plan to destabilize the country, but I want to go specifically to the document itself here. Then we're going to open the phones up. 7277, State Department Memorandum and Public Law 7277. You can go to Scribs, you can go anywhere. I'm posting the whole document with the scans, the original document that was not passed by Congress, but was implemented by the bureaucracy under the UN treaty with UNESCO. 1961 became public law via executive action, 1962. Freedom from War, the United States Program for General and Complete Disarmament in a Peaceful World. Department of State, Disarmament Series 5. Office of Public Services, Bureau of Public Affairs. In it, they have the graphs that show the U.S. military being phased out, and every other world army being phased down to zero, and a giant UN global peacekeeper force based in The Hague taking conscripts from every country, from every district. No, I didn't get this from the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games got it from this. The white uniforms, everything. It is right out of Star Wars. Because this is all art imitating life, the big empire. And the United Nations said on July 7th, 2000, that they wanted to have the Office of UNIDIR, the Small Arms Disarmament Bureau, move to have the complete abolition of civilian ownership of firearms because civilian ownership of firearms threatens the legitimate power monopoly of the state. That's an exact quote. Civilian ownership of firearms threatens the legitimate power monopoly of the state. It's a very true statement except for one word, legitimate. There's nothing legitimate about a power monopoly unless you want to live in North Korea or Nazi Germany or Maoist China or Soviet Russia. Now, I said, and I just got chills, and I don't just say that as an effect. I mean, I get chills when we talk about this because it's all happening. I said yesterday, and I said the day before, and I said 2 weeks ago before I left town for 5 days, that you would then hear the White House and Michael Moore call for the complete disarmament of local police departments unless they go under total federal control. This is the 7277 plan. First, they disarm the people. Then they disarm the police, the state police, the local police, except for special paramilitary special event police that are the new Praetorian Guard. And then they serve under the UN. That's why Austin police, D.C. police, New York police are all in these international exchange programs. Sound reasonable on the surface, but they're all being unified into one global standardized command. All in 7277 and subsequent meetings and events. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's done as a process. You don't wake up and it's martial law. You don't one day it suddenly everything's changed. It's done incrementally. So they can always say, where's the NSA spying? Where's the open borders? Where's the gun confiscation? Well, you notice a lot of that's already happened, but it's not really announced. Sure, it's buried in the paper, the border's gone, the illegals can come in, everything is paid for, vouchers. Sure, they're taking the vets' guns right now, and in a bunch of states, they're taking people's guns outside of law. Sure, they're disappearing some people. Sure, some drone strikes have killed some U.S. citizens. Sure, the NSA spy on everything, but they just kind of phase it in. Well, Michael Moore has now come out, and News 12 is reporting on it. Bloomberg is also carrying it. Michael Moore calls for full disarmament of police once prisons empty. And again, he should have said of nonviolent marijuana offenders that fill it up so they can't keep the violence. I mean, it would be a disaster if they released the hardened criminals. In fact, they do release them. Studies, you can look them up, show they release violent offenders quicker than nonviolent because they cost money. They don't make money. They want the little pothead who got caught with a half pound of weed he was selling because he'll work good in the call center or making license plates or furniture in prison industries. People say, well, make them prisoners work. They don't even have air conditioning in Texas, folks. You know, it gets up like 110 here. People die. You're like, good, they're all prisoners. Wait till you're in there for no reason. And they release violent offenders back on the street, and they keep the nonviolent. And then you say, well, make the prisoners work. They're competing against you on the high scale for 25 cents an hour. You think illegal aliens are driving down your wages? I mean, use your brains, folks. There's 4 million people in prison. There's 7 million in the system. We have the largest prison population in the world, and it doesn't make things better. But see, Michael Moore uses a real problem and just says, release everyone. That's what communists always do. That's what Stalin did, and then made them his enforcers. That's why they're now hiring criminals with criminal backgrounds as police, even felonies, and they're hiring illegals as police. I mean, welcome to the communist model applied by fascists running the show. So Michael Moore calls for full disarmament of police once prisons cleared. He turned to Twitter Thursday morning to voice his demands. We have video of a newscast where they read the tweets to society in the wake of civil unrest in Baltimore. We're going to go over some of those in a moment. We're going to play a newscast that breaks that down. But understand, you've got the White House saying that's the police's fault. They're going to federalize them. You've got the mayor basically saying that. And now Freddie Gray's death has been ruled a homicide. Officers face charges. Some witnesses in the paddy wagon say he was beating his head against the wall. Who knows if that's true? Others are saying that they were beating him. I mean, are there bad cops? Could they have killed him? Could they have covered it up? Absolutely. Do we need to have a civil war over it? With Michael Moore and George Soros involved? George Soros, $33 million just in Ferguson trying to get a race war. This guy just overthrew Ukraine a year and a half ago, pulling the same garbage, playing two groups off against each other, Catholics and Orthodox. And everybody just dances to his tune. He plays the flute, and everybody follows the Pied Piper. I mean, does everyone have to be chomped by George Soros and Michael Moore every time? It's just insane. It's 7277. Create unrest, create civil wars, disarm the locals, disarm the people, checkmate world government. What do you think these mop-up operations are around the world? Freddie Gray's death ruled a homicide. Officers face charges. State Attorney Marilyn Mosby, she looks like a clone of the mayor. The chief prosecutor for Baltimore announced this morning that her office has also found probable cause to pursue criminal charges in connection with the case. Mosby announced a series of charges now facing the 6 police officers involved in putting Gray in custody and transporting him to the police wagon on the morning of April 12th. The charges vary for each individual, but include several counts of manslaughter, second-degree assault, misconduct in the office, and false imprisonment, among others. They're now ruling his arrest illegal, so they're calling it a false imprisonment. And it may be, and they may have beat him to death, and manslaughter would be the charge. I don't think they knew they were killing him. And look, I'm not even defending the cops, folks. And I'm not saying all Eastern cops are bad. In my experience, East Coast cops have at least been the most rude and mean to me. But I've run into some bad ones in rural areas in Texas as well. It's just unaccountable bullies. Some departments aren't like that, but the federal culture has been pushing them in this direction, giving them the armaments, driving the phony drug war, incarcerating the peaceful people, giving them this killer training, turning them from peace officers and guardians of the republic more and more into these attack dog enforcers, and then they sit back and watch the fire they started consume the country hyping every event up, even though police violence is actually flat. You look at the studies out there. And all I can say is, man, you drive through a poor white area, poor black area, poor mixed area. I drove through East Austin down Manor Road yesterday. Because my dad's semi-retired, so he does dentistry as kind of like a community service. He still does it for poor kids and stuff like that. So I drove way out to where he works sometimes part-time as a pediatric dentist. And I drove back from far East Austin. It's actually kind of nice to right through East Austin. And let me tell you, folks, most of those people aren't working. And I mean, I'm going to say it, big, giant groups of thug white people, black people, Hispanics, mixed gangs. And they were acting like gangs. They were bugging their eyes out. They were saying stuff to me at red lights. And I had to control myself, not roll down the window. I mean, you want to, just like Charles Barkley said, hey, you want to disarm the local police, man, and then disarm the people, do you know what's coming? Because let me tell you, I'm not knocking everybody out in East Austin. There's some nice restaurants and nice people over there. But on the streets yesterday, driving home at about 7 o'clock, broad daylight, I mean, it was scary. And I grew up going to bad areas of Dallas. I mean, it was worse than that. Hey, there's no shortage of out-of-control police videos. There's a new one we're going to cover at the start of the next segment of the police without a warrant busting down a door and then releasing a attack dog on someone who's done nothing. This is part of the federal and global training. And this is part of the federalization. Steve Watson's written a story about it. It's on Infowars.com. And by the way, the guy's white, being attacked. And when you look at this, you understand the federal government is the group ignoring the Bill of Rights and Constitution on borders and debt and sovereignty and energy and military operations on every front. Now it's come out, witnesses are going to testify to Congress that the NSA spied on the Supreme Court and blackmailed them. Of course, how do you think they've got so-called conservative justices getting ready to vote to, teach 5-year-old boys how to wear dresses? And have internships with Leslie of Austin fame. And we've got Michael Moore, quote, next demand, disarm the police. And he goes through more of these quotes. I want every African-American currently incarcerated for drug crimes or nonviolent offenses released from prison today. How about everybody, Moore? See, it's just sick. And Michael Moore goes on, he's not eating Michelle's lunches. Pushing this. Michael Moore calls for full disarmament of police once prisons basically empty. And then we have a memorandum, 7277, that was enacted outside of law, but then on September 26, 1961, Public Law 87-297 was signed by Kennedy. And we even have the seal on the scan, Authentication, U.S. Government Information, GPO. Let me have a document cam shot on that for TV viewers. Just pull back and I'll show them. There you go. There it is. Again, if you're a radio listener, there's a whole other dimension to this show. Infowars.com/show. And send that link to friends, family, email it, Facebook, Twitter. That's how we get more people to actually watch what we're doing to see that we're not making this stuff up. So that's the plan. I mean, the feds give the tanks, give the training to the police. Hollywood promotes on every cop show I watch. I mean, I watched on a plane ride back from L.A. giving a speech a month ago. I talked about it. Chicago PD's the name of the show. And they tortured someone every 5 minutes. It was basically torture porn. And the way they situationally set it up, I would have tortured people too. I mean, the way that cops are good guys in the show, they're doing it for the right reason, they turn out to be right, that's not how the real world works when you start torturing people. You get tyranny, you get fake confessions. That's why free countries ban it. That's why tyrannical countries love it. North Korea loves it. George Washington would execute you if he caught you doing it. Because you lose the moral high ground, you get bad intel. It is the blood of tyranny. It is the ether of corruption. It is the oxygen of oppression. to have torture and secret arrest and spying and not having due process. So cops are watching these cop shows where they're slamming people's head in the ground and busting down doors and releasing police dogs on people without warrants, and they go out thinking that's cool to do. And you know what? A lot of the times they're right, and it is a bad guy. And they find the drugs. They find the child porn. They find the underage prostitutes. They find the meth lab. There are a bunch of degenerates with a starving kid and a baby carriage in the back or a crib. But it erodes everything, and then none of us are safe, and a greater evil comes in. That's how you corrupt a country, and it's happened. And now they've politically charged these police. May be reasonable, may not be. But you know if they don't get convicted and if they don't get life in prison, nothing else will be enough. I saw there were more unrest in Philadelphia now yesterday. And it's spreading to other areas. And what about if you go to the hip-hop rock star websites? Every day there's new videos of white people all over the country being beaten up because they're white. I talk about East Austin. You can't hardly go at night into the edge of East Austin where they have really nice restaurants and a lot of cool stuff. By the way, it wasn't this way 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I used to be on Access Television. That's where I started 20 years ago. And I was still there up until 10 years ago. But too many fans were showing up, so I had to quit using them. They had nice studios still over there. And I'd eat in all the barbecue places, and all the places and all the soul food places that are still there and really popular today. And areas were dangerous where the drugs were sold, but other than that, if you were white, you didn't get attacked because you were white. You do get attacked now. And the media tries to cover it up, but it's serious. So where's the anger and the riots for all the white people getting beaten to death and getting shot by racist black people? See, because it's being framed as a race war, not as anti-militarization of police, and the feds are posing as saviors. All right, let me get back into the transmission here. I want to take your phone calls. And I want to specifically just get to you and move to the next person. Then Jakari joins us for 20 minutes. Then I will continue with phone calls throughout the entire transmission today. We do have some special reports we're going to premiere here today, and a special report I want to air from last night's nightly news. On the Jade Helm front, then I'm just going to move on until later in the next hour. There were hundreds of new articles today, over 100, with the term Jade Helm Alex Jones in them. There were 365 yesterday, so they're cooling down a bit for now, I guess catching their breath to follow the new talking points. But mission accomplished. This is in the Dallas Morning News today. Mr. Abbott, Alex Jones is over the moon for you, by Mike Drago. Yes, he's a dragon that wants to eat our freedoms. And he just goes into making fun of me and the governor. How dare the governor try to stop Obama opening the borders? How dare the governor want to actually not shut down all our power plants? And how dare I say that he's doing a good job so far, which is very rare in this country, with telling the U.S. military under Obama's command do not engage in unconstitutional operations. I mean, Abbott knows there's a power grab going on. Half of Congress has been quoted saying we're going into total tyranny and that the president's operating as a dictator. I mean, is anybody looking around? We're just supposed to, be ridiculed. Oh, you're saying there's a power grab. Ha, ha, ha. I'm Mike Drago. It's insane. It's over the top. And this is just one that I had time to scan over. And they follow the same talking point as was in the Statesman. And I can't tell you. I looked at more than 30 or 40 articles that had this narrative in it. So, see, they follow an exact narrative. They make fun of the fact that we sell vitamins and minerals on the website. Of course, if you go to the Dallas Morning News, they have ads for vitamins and minerals as well. In fact, I was on there this morning and noticed because of what was in the keywords in the article, there were actually articles for vitamins and minerals right next to it. Isn't it horrible? We sell methylcobalamin that's much more bioavailable and basically able to be absorbed by the body. We sell basically the pharmaceutical grade to the public. That's what methylcobalamin is what you inject, but this is for in the mouth. Isn't it horrible that we fund ourselves and we don't get government contracts and government payment for PR, like the Dallas Morning News and BLO is on record doing? Oh, my gosh. It's terrible. Did you hear Alex Jones? Did you hear he funds his own operation? He sells T-shirts and books and videos and non-GMO seeds and high-quality water filters. And then he funds his own operation? That is so evil. It's so shameful. It's like he's a televangelist preacher or something. And then they go on to say that you can get vitamin B12 bottle twice as big for $19 on Amazon, and ours is $19.95 when it's on sale, $24.95 when it's not. Do you understand you can buy a bottle of B vitamins for like $5, but it's synthetic, absolute toxic crud? I mean, do you understand that it cost me more than $10 a bottle for Secret 12? And then we mark it up and fund the operation. But most vitamin companies mark it up 4, 5, 6, 7 times. We mark it up once or once and a half. Unprecedented quality. DNA Force has over $50 of product in it. That's an industry game changer. We've got products that are $14.95 that are high quality. We got stuff that's $130. We're not ashamed of it. Oxy powder, life-changing. It's not even marked up 100%. It's marked up like 75%. How do you think I pay for reporters and plane tickets and TV studios and satellites and bandwidth? It's incredible how expensive this is. And by the grace of God and your support, we're able to continue to be on air and even grow some. But in the face of the enemy, I want to really grow. I want to really fight these people. But it just doesn't work. It shows how there's a talking point on how to attack us, and these people all then plagiarize each other. That's what it is. This is almost a carbon copy of the Awesome American Statesman written by another guy. It was another guy who wrote that one. Can we check? There's a bunch of these. Is this all the same guy? I don't think so. I saw different names. Mission accomplished, Mr. Abbott. Alex Jones is over the moon. For you. No, I'm not. I had Ron Paul on yesterday, highly respected statesman all over the world, speaks to parliaments around the planet. Everything he's talked about is coming true. And he said, no, I think Abbott's doing a pretty good job right now. And I didn't even support him, Paul said. But he said, yeah, he's really doing good. That's so refreshing. And he may disappoint us. God, I hope he doesn't. But if he does disappoint us, it's because scum like the Dallas Morning News have bullied him or his staff into believing that they're in control. It was the Patriots that put Governor Abbott in Texas, and he knows that. And he knows, like they talk about in the article, that a lot of wealthy, powerful people who are patriots in Texas know what's going on and don't want to destroy the country. And they didn't make their money ripping people off like George Soros or Warren Buffett in banker bailouts and currency devaluations. They made their money by companies and having thousands of employees and building a civilization in Tejas. And we don't want to see our guns taken and our country collapse and our factories shut down. We're fighting to build a future. It's why, like lifeboats, people are piling out of New York and California and Illinois and former great states like Michigan with great people. They're here flooding. 500 people moved to Austin a day. It was like that a year ago, a week. Flooding to Dallas, flooding to Houston, flooding to San Antonio. And it's not that we're perfect. It's just that we're polite. People are nice. There's still jobs. There's lower taxes. Cost of living's lower. But the thing is, the people coming here from the states they destroyed don't even know why they're coming. They don't know why they're coming here other than they can get a job. And then they honk at you for no reason. They cuss at you. They yell at you. They cut in front of you. I was sitting there a few weekends ago with my kids, had my hand on the counter, ordering food at this little diner. And this woman jerked the menu out from under my elbow, and there was a whole stack of them right by there, and she aggressively looked at me wanting to have a petty power trip, and I just said, I forgive you. I understand you don't have any power in your life, and you wanted to be aggressive. There's a whole stack of menus right there. And she started going, what? I started giggling, and I went, it's okay. Did you just move here in the last 6 months from California? And she went, I did, you Texans. I told the story one time as I was driving my truck around at a P. Terry's hamburger place with my kids after I took them to Barton Springs. And it's a local hamburger chain. I don't eat at chains. National chains. It's a local one. And these women just walk in front of me when I'm already rolling like 1 mile an hour up to the window. And they go, what's your problem? Look at that big truck. Look at that big truck. What's you? And I went, hey, I'm not here to get barked at by you. I'm real friendly to get in my face. Well, you're from California, aren't you? By the way, I'm not knocking good Californians, the best people in the world. We got a lot of affiliates in California. Beautiful, wonderful state. My gosh, Newport Beach in the south, places like Santa Cruz in the central area. I mean, I'd live there. Used to be like Texas 50 years ago. A bunch of Oklahomans in Texas settled it. But not anymore, folks. And now the people that can't get jobs in California are coming here. Maybe that'll fix California. And then there were more people walking up to the window there because they also have a middle window for people to walk up to get food. And they were like, what's your problem, buddy? For these trendies. And I went, what's my problem? She just bowed up and got in my face and started cussing at me. I forgot that part. In front of my kids. I'm just simply speaking back in a somewhat raised tone, explaining that, it's not bad that I have a truck and that, my family, lives here. And they got so angry. They got so upset. We're going to launch the phone system up there. And then after we boot that, I'm going to give the phone number out. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. Where do you think Jade Helm and the move to federalize police is going? Will they be successful starting riots this summer? There's now no doubt. It doesn't mean the police state's good, but they're contriving the anger now because this is their problem reaction solution. What do we do to derail it? Can it be stopped? 800-259-9231. Freddie Gray's death has been ruled a homicide. Officers face charges. The man who filmed the Freddie Gray video has been arrested at gunpoint. That sounds very suspicious and real police state activity and absolutely the type of thing that'll discredit the police department and allow them to be federalized. But see, it's an inside job. They're already federalized through their mayor and others that are best buddies with Obama who ordered the stand down. If the cops did wrong, you got to hang them out to dry. Kevin Moore, the man who filmed Freddie Gray's brutal arrest, has now himself been arrested following harassment and intimidation from Baltimore police. Moore was arrested at gunpoint last night, along with 2 other members of Cop Watch group dedicated to filming, documenting police work. The video of Gray's arrest shot shortly before the man suffered spinal injuries, which the police custody that led to his death. Moore claims that despite having cooperated with 2 detectives in Baltimore Police Department's Office of Internal Oversight and given them the video, police posted his photo and told the public that he was wanted for questioning, asking police to identify him. So they came out and got him. That is pure harassment if true. Irate congressman gives cops easy rule. Just follow the bleeping Constitution. But again, Michael Moore just says the answer is disarm police. No, that's not the answer. That's why you got to watch out when they say don't let police have semi-autos, don't let them have rifles, don't let them in big cities have an armored vehicle. It's one thing if they got one armored vehicle for a hostage situation or bank robbery a few times a year, or SWAT team raids on actual violent, known killers. But to have fleets of them, to have general police being trained, to have it being expanded, to have those tactics, no, it's very dangerous. But I don't care if police have a .223 rifle in case somebody's shooting at folks from 100 yards away and they got to shoot them. I mean, look, let the public have guns, let the police have guns. That's how you circumvent Public Law 87-297 in the memorandum from the UN 7277 that says they'll use civil unrest in different countries, including the U.S., for total disarmament, and that is their plan. Read it and weep. Did you know there's a law in the books for total disarmament? They're just afraid to try to implement it. Now, to the Dallas Morning News chagrin, when I read this morning, I came in and said, you know what? You don't like us selling high-quality colloidal silver or super male vitality or high-quality vitamin B12, methylcobalamin, the highest quality. Just I've taken, because I have a prescription for it, what's in the bottle you inject into your fat. That's one of the few prescriptions I have. You get it from a medical doctor. With what we sell, it's basically the same thing. One little bottle of it that's maybe a tenth of what is in our bottle is like $35 per bottle. So it's incredibly low price. Dallas Morning News attacks it and the governor. I mean, again, they don't say Jade Helm isn't real. They don't say we're not militarized. They lie and say that I say total martial law is coming. No, it's already here to a great extent. And they lie and say that it's basically a crap product with no proof. Well, we have 50% off Silver Bullet, period, and free shipping. Get 2 bottles and get the fluoride shield that has the nascent iodine and 4 other chelators, detoxers in it. Try it. That's why we're so successful, because it's high-quality products. People get results, and then you reorder, and we can fund the operation. InfoWarsLife.com. I'm extending it. It was over this morning. I'm extending it through Monday morning now for the Dallas Morning News. Again, just for the Dallas Morning News and the Austin American-Statesman, and no exaggeration, I saw at least 30 articles the last few days attacking the fact that I sell supplements. Look, he says we're becoming a militarized society and the NSA spying on us, and that we don't need checkpoints on the highways, and we don't need death panels, and he sells high-quality nutraceuticals and T-shirts and videos and water filters. Why? They had the amazing Randy come out and say, I'm a con man because I sell high-quality, registered, certified water filters. So, you know what? I don't just extend sales. I'll add something else is what I tend to do. This is going through Monday morning, and then I promise it will end Monday morning. It's time to cut off Monday at midnight. Specials extended till Monday at midnight. 50% off Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver. Free shipping. Buy 2 nascent iodine, get a free fluoride shield. Or 2 silver bullets, get a free fluoride shield. Buy 2 silver bullets, get 1 fluoride shield free, as I said, and free shipping. The Alex Pack Challenge. Get free shipping with the Super Male Vitality, the Oxy Powder, and the X2 Nascent Iodine. Free shipping on all of these specials, as well as X2, Super Male Vitality, and Oxy Powder individually. All these specials at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com. And just for all the folks that think glyphosate and fluoride's good for us, like the amazing Randy, who says that fluoride's good for you, the feds just cut fluoride by law in the water by 50%, and they banned it in pesticide. Yeah, punk. We are real. You are not, scum. Just because you got a big beard and you're a gay wizard doesn't mean you know everything, punk. Let's continue. Water 2.0 promo code. 20% off all Pro Pure water filtration. By the way, I want to challenge the amazing wizard, the amazing Randy. I'm not bashing him as he's gay. He should have advertised his documentary. It was about how he's gay and with his boyfriend sitting on his lap the whole time. It was one of the most boring films I ever saw. I feel like I was robbed of 2 hours. But anyways, he pontificates that I'm a con man. You are a con man, in my view. In fact, you admit you were a magician that spent his life fooling people, and now you tell people about the tricks. No, that's what I do. I was never a magician, and I expose people like you. I'm not a sleight-of-hand guy. I'm a hard charger. That's what I am. That's what I do. Water 2.0 promo. You put Water 2.0 or Water 20 at checkout, and you get 20% off all Pro Pure water filtration supplies, systems, stainless steel, you name it, and the studies are there, and the taste test videos are there, super high quality. But imagine how kooky I am. I think you should filter your water. You'd have to be a nutbag to not filter your water. You'd have to be crazy. I drink filtered water out of my G2 Pro Pure. When I travel, I take a little one with me. I use reverse osmosis to cook, and I drink, because I like the flavor of it, Aqua Panna. I own no stock in it, but it really is a good Italian water. And Randy, you look like you've been drinking some fluoride, so keep drinking it, punk. The guy's a nobody. I don't know why I'm attacking him. It's just I'm sick of all these people. I'm tired of everyone. You should have called your movie Adventures with a Gay Wizard. And then I would have been, honest, and said it was a very boring movie about a creepy old man. I mean, I'd get tired of any movie if it was a couple looked like Marilyn Monroe after an hour of her sitting on some guy's lap. Anyways, we're going to go to break now, but those specials all end. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. Your calls, Yakari Jackson. Tons of news I haven't gotten to. Stay with us. I need to calm down. I got really upset looking at Michael Moore promoting the total disarmament of police. That is the UN plan for global takeover. We'll tell you more about it in this hour. I've got to get into the economic news, the world news. There's just so much of it. You think the only story in the world, though, is Freddie Gray's death. I'm sorry for his death. We don't know the truth. The police have been charged with homicide. There's a lot of other important stories we're going to be getting to, but I want to take your phone calls from Ironhead, John, I am, Adam, Phil, and others. Jakari's on for like 10 minutes with an update, and then I will just phone calls the entire broadcast interspersed with news. I've got to settle down. Because if I get wound up for 3 hours, which I can do, I'm just dead after the show and can't get all the business stuff done of news and analysis and planning. Yesterday I was so hyped up that I was just a wreck for about 2 hours after the show. Let's go ahead and talk to Ironhead. You're on the air in Washington. Welcome.
Hey there. How you doing? But you almost get me wound up, too. Hey, do you remember back about a year or two before Bush left office, he flew into Tokyo for a 1-hour meeting. We only had a G7 at the time. There was no G10. Do you remember when he sat down with Ahmadinejad, and it was Medvedev, not Putin, who was in position. Putin replaced Medvedev shortly thereafter. And then we had the Spetsnaz crews coming into Fort Collins for the disarmament drills. Can you tie it together in terms of what you see with the UN and Jade Helm?
Well, there are giant covert agendas going on, and the globalists, though, think we're stupid, so that they think we don't read books, which the general public doesn't. And then we read you what they've said in the books and show you the documents, and the Dallas Morning News, the New York Times just says that doesn't exist, he's a liar, knowing people won't go check, like Memorandum 7277 or Public Law 87-297. And that story's up on Infowars.com right now. Kit Daniels, did you know a law is on the books to disarm all Americans? Incredibly important article. We need to red link it. And again, I've known all this forever, for 25 years. I knew about this before I was really politically awake. I knew about the UN plan. But it just becomes a rumor. Hey, there's a UN plan to get the guns. Well, yeah, it's on the books and a treaty. And that's why government just moves forward to try to get all this done. But if you look at the Russian troops inspecting the facilities and training for anti-terrorism drills, that's going on. And then now it looks like there's been double crossing going on, so that deal's breaking down. But then a lot of the high-level generals I've talked to, former and current, say, no, that's a scam as well. Above that, the Russians are actually working with the top bankers. The truth is, they're all double-crossing each other. It's like a James Bond movie with Spectre. The establishment doesn't even know who's on whose side right now. That's why they're always jockeying and changing position and rebalancing, in Kissinger's words. But you notice they're good at that, these mega banks that sit above the countries. As our nations go into more debt, as we implode, as our birth rates drop in the West, the globalist agenda moves forward on a planetary scale. So They are right now winning, but they're slowing their win. They're slowing their roll. They're getting more opposition as people become aware of their philosophy, their MO, their program, how they operate. But that's basically what's happening. But yes, that's why they have to have the U.S. military ready for gun confiscation, and why since the 60s they've been publicly training for it. It's just now the training has gone from a 1 to about an 80 on a scale of a 1 to 100. I mean, it's exponential, and so they're gearing up for something big. Ironhead, you want to stay on hold after Jakari leaves us in about 10 minutes and come back with a comment on that?
Yeah, I do have one quick comment.
Okay,
please.
well, stay there. Stay there then, and then I promise it's just going to roll with your calls. John, I am... It's a little blasphemous from Florida. Adam, Phil, and others. Hey, but we're all bad. I'm not judging you. Jakari Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, is about to join us from the streets of Baltimore, Maryland, with all of the new huge developments. Then I promise to go back to Ironhead, John, Ian, Adam, Phil, and many others that are patiently holding. And then we will just take your calls throughout the transmission on this Open Line Friday. And Lord willing, so I take nothing for granted, we'll be back this Sunday live in studio for the 4 to 6 abbreviated Sunday edition. So please mark your calendars for that. Well, we've passed the mark 1 million YouTube subscribers without ever really promoting it. On the Alex Jones channel, 1 million YouTube subscribers. Imagine if the 1 million subscribers on our YouTube channel that has over 500 million views, imagine if you picked out some of the most important videos, of more than 30 a day we post, and sent those to friends and family in email, posted it to Twitter and Facebook. The power of that is incredible. We have, I keep saying 800 million, but I'd forgotten that they had removed about a third of our views and the rest of YouTube's a few years ago. When Sony got caught gaming the views, they just took everybody's views away because of an advertising thing that I think is illegitimate by YouTube. But the point is that it's more like 700, 800 million on our channel. You add that to other channels, we're well over 1 billion views on YouTube right now, even if you don't count the views they took away. 1 billion views. McDonald's says billions and billions served. Well, we can say billions and billions served, and that's one reason the system's upset. And YouTube is about 20% of our listeners in the metric. But YouTube's important because it hits people that would never see us. But when you talk about talk radio, baby, on stations like KSCO, that's the #1 station with many of its shows, depending on which time format, there in the Central Coast area up into the edge of San Francisco. It even shows up in the ratings in San Francisco, where they got 2 stations. I mean, their ratings are sometimes they've got 80,000 to 100,000 people tuning in. Well, MSNBC has 100,000 viewers or less on their average show. I mean, they're the mouse that roared. We have over 180 affiliates, big ones and little ones, in places like Chicago and Rochester, New York. And we're back on again in Orlando, where we were #1 against Rush Limbaugh. It was in the news there that we beat Rush Limbaugh on a small station. Well, small is 10,000 watts, but compared to the station he was on, it was 50. It was a medium-sized station. I mean, we're having an effect. And I'm not bragging about Alex Jones. I'm saying freedom is popular. Like Ron Paul says, let's legalize freedom again. And when I see all these new people coming online, all these new shows, all these new people making great films, I don't go, oh, my gosh, competition. Look at those whippersnappers. We got to get going. Crack the whip. I'm like, thank God we're not the only X-Wings going in here. There's swarms of them going in against this Death Star. It's very exciting. And then if we can just stop the COINTELPRO from getting in there and manipulating and teaching them to infight with each other, because they'll test you, say something bad about you, trying to get you to fight. Don't do it. Just ignore it. Continue on the target. Get the ammo downrange. Stay on target. Stay on target. That is the key. So very, very exciting. Again, briefly, because the Austin American-Statesman, Dallas Morning News, and over 30 publications that I had time to look at, it's probably more than that, the last 3 days have attacked the fact that we sell T-shirts, water filters, and high-quality nutraceuticals. So we're extending the sales since they hate it so much. The sale's been incredibly popular and successful. Thank you. It helps us fund the operation. 50% off continues on a whole bunch of the products and the free shipping and the free bottles of the Fluoride Shield. See all the specials for yourself at InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com. And we've extended it with the countdown 2 days and a handful of hours. We put that clock back up. And again, if you're a radio listener, Infowars.com/show to find the free video feeds. Just in the last week, the video feed viewership for the free feeds has tripled its all-time record. So we're just turbocharging. All these media attacks are only intensifying our readership, viewership, listenership. I want folks to Google Alex Jones, Jade Helm, click Google News. In the NSA interface, you can use the NSA interface as a weapon. It'll show you hundreds of articles and enemy transmission points attacking us. You can simply pick a few enemy sites, go in and start commenting, hey, go look at the Jade Helm documents here. Look at links to the government training to take guns. Look at the military and police admitting it's for gun confiscation. Look at the military and police admitting the MRAPs are for veterans. And then, here's the Alex Jones Show feed for yourself. And it's not that they have big audiences. I mean, the Dallas Morning News might have 20 commenters. The Houston Chronicle might have 15 comments. You know, we have 5,000, 10,000 comments a day just on one article. But still, those are sheep we can wake up. Target them with the truth. The enemy is showing itself. Let's attack. It's beautiful. Speaking of attacking the tyrants with truth, Jakari Jackson bravely with Joe Biggs is now on his third day in Baltimore, Maryland. I meant to air this. I want to air it at the bottom of the hour. They went to Walmart and confirmed that they had taken all the ammo, BB guns, and knives off the shelves so law-abiding citizens couldn't protect themselves. There were no gun shops basically in the city because of regulations and victim disarmament, but on the edge of the town is a Walmart, and they did pull it, and he has them on the phone and in person admitting it. Jakari Jackson, Joe Biggs, stunning job as usual. I want to retweet that video. It's important. Then we're going to go to your calls, Ironhead and others. Jakari, what do you make of just the attacks on Jade Helm? You got riot police behind you, I see. The police being charged with homicide and a bunch of other stuff. Where do you think all this is going, Jakari Jackson?
Jakari Jackson live from Baltimore. Well, talking about the officers, Alex, people here are very excited. We're out here in Pennsylvania Avenue, right across the street from the CVS that was burned the other day. And if we can take a pan around, you can see all the people out here commingling with the police. There are actually people out there in the middle of the street with the police officers directing traffic. So, yes, there has been a high amount of tension. But it seems like after the charges were brought today, not the indictment, but the charges on the 6 officers, people are ready to try to begin a new beginning and move forward, hopefully with a healthy relationship between the police and the people out here. As far as the police presence, it is overwhelming. As officers walk behind me right now, there are officers posted on every corner around here. National Guard posted a little bit down the street. So they are ready in case anything should happen negatively. But after the news we heard today of the multiple charges on the multiple officers, I believe the highest charge was second-degree murder. I don't anticipate any large problems. You know, you could always have a contingent of people who want to come out here and do harm. But as you can see, the real people of Baltimore are out here trying to have a healthy celebration alongside the police. Now, as far as the Walmart we had a chance to go to the other day, as you were saying earlier, Alex, you are correct. Within the city of Baltimore, they don't really sell guns and ammunition. We called a Walmart and they said, no, we don't sell guns or we don't sell ammunition within city limits. So we had to go outside Baltimore about 30 minutes to a Walmart, talk to him on the phone, and we got there. And you can see in the video the shelves were stripped bare. And I asked one of the gentlemen, I said, hey, what's going on out here? He said, we had to take all the things off the shelves, all the guns, the knives, even the BB guns, the ammunition, because in case the riots come out here, we don't want to be caught with our pants down and have our store ransacked. Now, I can understand they don't want any type of looting to happen in their store, but as far as people being able to protect themselves, I wish they would at least had it set up where you can walk up there and request, you know, a box of 9mm ammunition, and they go retrieve it for you out the back. Sure,
Jakari, what it shows is the default position that you take the guns from the people and the right to self-defense. You called, you have the Walmart representative say over the phone the same thing that the representative tells you, or partner they have some weird word for Walmart workers. What's it called?
Partner. I think you are right.
Yeah, it's partners, because they're not actually, I guess, employees. It's some corporate legalese. And they confirm this. This shows what Walmart's going to do nationwide during civil unrest. So folks need to have their guns, their ammo, their prep supplies ahead of that. Now, I hear deafening honking going on, Jakari. What's happening there? Is that part of the celebration?
Oh, yes, there are people driving all the way up and down the street. Just a few minutes ago, a very large military convoy rolled around here as well. As you can see, I'm joking with these guys walking across the street. I don't know if they're doing shift changes, but officers continue to move strongly throughout this area. It's a huge celebration. It's pretty much like a block party of sorts, just with a bunch of police behind you. But, it is a very much a celebration, and everybody out here so far is on their best behavior, and I have every reason to believe that it's going to continue.
Well, Jakari, with the work you and Joe did going over the border, I'm going to run out of money giving you guys bonuses. You're just doing a great job.
That was Biggs and Josh, but me and Biggs have done plenty.
No, I know. I'm saying you're up there in a dangerous situation as well. So you guys are doing a fabulous job, and you guys are a great team. We've got Joe Biggs there on camera, and then you're on camera for him. Wonderful reporters. We salute your work. Take us out to break with any other observations, Jakari.
Well, we've been around and show the people more.
Yeah, what happened is the mic plug just came out of the camera, I can tell. I think some folks bumped into the mic cord. It's all right.
Check.
Yeah, that's good. We got your audio. We're going to skip this break. It's so important. And then talk to the other 5 minutes, and then go back to Ironhead, John, Ian, and Adam, and Phil, and others. I promise, callers, we're going to go to you in just a moment. So we're skipping the break, Jakari, so you've got more time to pan around. This is some pretty powerful Skype video we're seeing here.
Yeah, we're going to move a little bit around so you guys get more of a feel of the area. Like I said, this is Pennsylvania Avenue and West North Avenue. As you can see, many people out here celebrating, many people out here on the sidewalks as well. There's, I believe, a minister down the street blasting over his loudspeaker, talking to the people. Many people getting interviewed. You see smiles, no riots, no looting, no Molotov cocktails, just smiling, happy people. And I'm sure this is what they want to see in their communities. They didn't like the riots and the looting, the things that happened here at the CVS. They want their city to be represented as it is now, people standing together in solidarity. And yes, this is a predominantly black neighborhood, but you also have white people out here. You have young people, you have old people. Everybody's out here just trying to have a healthy time.
That's right.
A celebration, a time of healing for the city of Baltimore.
Well, we had photos and videos up in an article yesterday, what the media is not showing, of people of all race, colors, and creeds coming together to try to block the looters and rioters. Only a few hundred of them that mainly came from other areas to take advantage of it as an excuse to rob. And then we called them thugs, and they claimed that was racist. But even Obama called them thugs. And, you've got thuggism throughout the culture, period, that has to be called what it is. My concern is, I think they would have indicted these cops if they really thought they were doing something wrong, which they've now done. They do that all the time. I see it every day where cops are getting indicted. It's a dangerous job, because if you use too much force and kill somebody, you're probably going to get charged. I'm concerned that people will think that looting caused these charges to come down. I don't think the looting had anything to do with that, Jakari.
No, when the evidence came out, we saw the press conference with the prosecutor earlier today, Miss Mosley, and she laid out all the charges, everything from second-degree murder on down to manslaughter, reckless endangerment, all types of various charges. So once the evidence came out and people could see that not only was this man arrested in a very harsh manner, but the failure to render aid definitely contributed heavily to his demise. And I'm glad that they had the foresight to really look into this and not just sweep it under the rug, because this is not a situation where sweeping something under the rug would have been a good thing.
Well, being macho and tough doesn't mean you beat people to death and they don't give them aid. That's not what being tough is. Being tough is when you actually get attacked, taking somebody out. But just beating up people in handcuffs or whatever is the ultimate cowardice. And most police aren't like this, but police departments are trying in many areas to recruit thugs. And the feds, I see, are the ones behind it most of the time. Then they turn around and want to federalize as the answer. Now, Michael Moore came out and said, the founding fathers said we had guns to protect ourselves from police. Let's disarm police. We've got some of these bizarre tweets. That's the final UN model of a communist revolution, is where they say disarm the police, guns to the people. This is what Soros just did a year and a half ago in Ukraine. People are asking, why is he saying we have guns to protect ourselves from government? Because they're now moving into the final equation. If they can't take over and get our guns that way, they'll use the guns to take over. This is a very sickening statement by the snake that is Michael Moore. Again, next demand, disarm the police. We have 4 billion Second Amendment guns in our homes for protection. We'll survive till the right cops are hired. And then he goes on to basically call for revolution and stuff. What do you make of him saying that?
Michael Moore said that, the filmmaker?
Yes.
That's completely news to me. Michael Moore, we know the guy has armed bodyguards and all this stuff, and I think he's really more pandering to the audience. I mean, I don't know the guy personally, but it just seems like a very convenient statement to make. But, you know, as far as disarming the police, I think we definitely need to retrain the police. I think when we give these guys these big federally funded vehicles, the MRAPs and all that, and then we say, well, the answer is more federalization. It's federalization that gave these guys this equipment in the first place. But if we could have more things like what we're seeing today, the police commingling with the people, yes, you do have the SWAT teams and stuff on standby, but you have the police captains and National Guardsmen out here trying to talk peacefully to the people and treat them like they're human beings. If we have more of that,
that's right. We lost his mic again. Those wireless systems are great, or those wired systems, sometimes they get unplugged. Well, Jakari Jackson, great job. Joe Biggs is welcome later to pop in if he wants to. In fact, you can switch around if you want right now, or you can interview Joe Biggs. He can just aim the camera at the crowd, ask his 90-second take on things.
Okay, we'll just do a quick switch right here.
Again, that's Jakari Jackson and Joe Biggs doing another fabulous job. I love those guys. They make a great team. It's just so exciting as the leader of this organization to have these type of men involved with us, because they just fearlessly get out there and kick butt and work so hard. Well, Joe, you're going to get more hazard duty pay again. Great job, you and Jakari. When are you guys planning to come home?
So far, it looks like Sunday. Who knows? I mean, anything could change. Maybe later today, tomorrow, who knows? But right now, we know Sunday. But, you know, the thing to look at right now is a celebration going on. You know, a lot of people, like you said earlier, I heard you say, did looting cause this, the charges to come down? I don't believe so at all. You know, I think a thorough investigation was done. They had some witnesses that came forward and were able to compile some evidence, some compelling evidence to charge these guys. And I think that the people are happy. They got what they really wanted, because deep down, a lot of these people saw what happened. They knew what happened was police brutality. It was wrong. And that's a huge rampant problem in our country, is the fact that it's not even something that starts at each individual substation or police station. This starts with the training. We have to change the way that we're training these young police officers who have up to like zero life experience when they come in the police force, never really used guns before, never been in combat, and don't know how to do anything. And then you give them a gun, you give them a badge, and they don't know how to react.
Well, beyond that, you've told me many times, even though you were in Iraq and Afghanistan and taking prisoners a lot, you didn't treat the public like this because you knew it would cause a vicious response.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, when you're in combat, you're going to have an assault rifle, but we always maintain weapon discipline. What that means is keeping the muzzle of the gun pointed downward as to show, you know, a decrease in force. You know, what they're doing out here is an increase in force. It's almost like the same tactics that were used in Fallujah with the curfews, the shoot first, ask questions later mentality. That's a mentality that has to stop in America with our police force. We need to take a step back and go back to being peace officers.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't know if you guys have been working really hard. I'm sure you probably hadn't had lunch or whatever, but this celebration's big video. I really want you guys, as my final directive, you can obviously cover whatever you want, targets of opportunity. I want you to interview the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want you to interview the nice folks, the happy folks, but also I want to interview, other people. I want to show a full spectrum of people on the street during this celebration. So go ahead and get ready for that. I want to get to some calls right now, but please shoot a report of the celebration and what people have to say and what they want.
Roger that, Alex Jones. We copy.
Because I see people coming up wanting to say things. In fact, let's just randomly ask folks why they're happy. Just going out to break, then I'll come back to break and go to calls nonstop.
Excuse me, you mind talking? So tell us how you're feeling today after you found out that the 6 officers involved in this entire thing are going to be charged.
I feel the same way. Truth be told, I feel the same way.
You feel happy? You're glad?
Mixed feelings, man.
So what are the mixed feelings then?
Mixed feelings is because of the charges. They was less, man. They was real small, man, compared to the whole situation. If they said if they're not supposed to be charged with first-degree murder or premeditated murder, but that was their intent. They had intent to harm this man. You see what I'm saying? So I don't understand why they just got second-degree assaults and things like that. And voluntary manslaughter,
you have 4 years
to
set out 2 kills.
You get found guilty at trial. So a judge could give them probation or anything or let them go.
Explain to him that they couldn't convict him on that they'd get off if they charged him too strong.
I'm a lifelong resident in Baltimore City. I've been through it all my life with police brutality, man. All my life. You can check my record, man. It ain't nothing to brag about, man. But, yeah, it's bad, man. I almost died a couple times.
So what do you think about this? You know, the charges are just the first step in this entire ordeal. Now, what happens if they don't get indicted? What do you think? What's going to happen with that?
Well, there's people already spoken, man. They already showed you what they're going to do.
Well, they're being indicted now.
We saw what happened with the Michael Brown case. You know, everyone, without a shadow of doubt, thought that officer was going to be indicted, and then it didn't happen. I mean, do you think it's going to end up like that or no? Or do you think there's enough evidence to go through with an indictment?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I really do.
Yeah, they're being indicted.
What about you?
Well, I think that if they don't get indicted, I think we'll have a replay of what happened
on Monday.
Being charged is one thing, but following through with it and getting justice for what happened.
Do you think that the prosecutor, Mosby, you think she's going to do her best to make sure that indictment comes down on the 6 officers?
Well, I'm praying that she does her best.
Do you know about her background, right? Both her mother, father, police, and she's, backed up by the Baltimore police.
And that's what the citizens are worried about because she's affiliated with the police department.
We got to go to break. Keep it up, Joe. You're doing a great job. Do a live feed, shoot HD. Great report, great reporting by our team, and you're funding it all out there, listeners. We're going to come back to Ironhead. Stay with us.
Detroit, Broke City.
But I tell you, all the folks I know down here from Michigan are really cool people. They're really nice, they're friendly, they're hardworking. I know white folks, black folks that moved down here, I really like them. And it's sad. Michigan's a beautiful state. And, boy, the globalists, NAFTA and GATT, shut it down. And the Trans-Pacific Partnership's going to shut the whole country down. And the feds are down here in Texas shutting off all our industry. That's why I'm mad at some of the New Yorkers, some of the Floridians, and some of the Californians especially, though. Man, when they get here, they bring it all. They just get in your face. They honk their horns at you. They're rude to you. They want your guns. They want higher taxes. And it's like, don't you get you're fleeing yourself, you idiot? You moron? Just tired of it. Now when people honk at me for no reason, I start slowing down. Somebody gets on my tail, I just start slowing down. Not recklessly, but I just start slowing down. I had some lady right when the light turned green honk at me. I was somewhat downtown yesterday. And then it got to the next red light. It turned green, started honking again with cars in front of me. And I didn't road rage. I just started rolling slower than the speed limit because it was traffic up ahead anyways. And she started getting real mad. And it's just, guaranteed she's not from Texas. And it's just, it's hard to see my state being infected by cancer. It's kind of like you come into your bed at night and you pull back the sheets and the cat's taking a crap. I mean, I'm sorry to have to talk like that, but man, I tell you, you people make me sick. And what's got me on a jag is national newspapers making fun of Texas not wanting troops all over the streets and helicopters blowing stuff up in the middle of the night. And they're making fun of calling us idiot hayseeds. People think we ride horses to work and all this crap. NASA's based in Texas. I'm just so tired of the public's ignorance. And I love Northerners. I love Southerners. I love Westerners. I love people everywhere. When I'm talking about a generalization, Californians know who I'm talking about. The people Mark Dice goes out and interviews there in Venice Beach that, should we put gun owners in forced labor camps? Talks to 20 people, 18 of them, yes. And he's like, well, you want to put them in a slave camp? Yeah, buddy, I'm sick of them. And let me tell you, they might actually work, the white yuppies and people, if it was in a death camp. They'd love to have the guns. They're going to have the guns, not us. All right, I'm going to shut up and go to your calls now. Right through. We're at the halfway point in the transmission. We're doing it right now. And then I'm going to control myself and discipline myself in the third hour, and I'm going to cover a ton of news with your calls and some video clips and a lot more. Ironhead, you wanted to make another point, that we're going to John, Ian, Adam, Phil, and others. Go ahead.
I'm still laughing over the cat in your bed. You have to watch out for that.
Well, I'm sorry, but my mother did have a cat when I was a kid that would like to crap on my bed, and I didn't do anything to the cat except spray it with water guns. So I don't know why I was doing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Christ said, "Deny thyself." Maybe for the future, we'll deny thy cat.
Maybe I deserved it. Okay, but I wasn't ever really mean to animals, but I would squirt them with squirt guns.
Hey, as we go forth, try to keep these thoughts in mind. Trying to take ourselves to the top of the capstone, and there is a capstone. One of the things, neuro-linguistic programming keywords, going back to what I said about the meeting in Tokyo, when Trump and all the world leaders, and there was, again, a G7, not a G10, when he sat in those meetings, there was obligatory stuff came out in the media. It was dropped in 2 days. Well, 1 hour was constantly mentioned. I'm going to read something really fast. Revelation 17:12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast. The thing we're missing, there is an Antichrist. There is a man who has taken that position, and that's who those world leaders sat with in Tokyo back in 2007 or 2008, just before Bush left office. And that's what I'm saying, is at the top of the capstone, there is no country. They're all under one umbrella, and they all answer to. I think Putin has jumped the fence. He has jumped the shark. He has gone off the reservation. But Deadbed was the man in that meeting.
Well, the Bible says that, and then they blow up Gog and Magog. Absolutely. I tell you, you really study the Bible. It describes 10 mega regions that do not have a capstone because the world government's not official yet. And when you go, and now here's what's crazy. The globalists have created 10 global regions under the UN with 3 sub-directorships over them. 3 mega regions, 10 sub-regions. Each country's broken into 10 regions. This is globally, not just the U.S. Just got chills. And then you go to the UN, they admit it's a Luciferian right. I was watching in 2000 with the new millennium. It was really 2001, but they called it 2000. And they were having world celebrations at Giza with huge, giant screens worshiping Lucifer on PBS in Latin and in Arabic and in Egyptian. And you read the literature. I mean, these people are crazy. They're actually following it, and they believe Lucifer's God, and they are manifesting it. And they believe it's a sacrifice when they put cancer viruses in the vaccines and don't give the troops care and abort 50 million babies. People say, oh, we're not Satanists. We've killed 55 million babies in this country alone. It's incredible. God bless you. Yeah, it's amazing. And even, I want to explain something to atheists and agnostics and people. There's a fake church and a bunch of rubes and boobs and fools out there. And by the way, somebody says, don't use the word boob. It's anti-family. A booby means a stupid pirate. I'm sick of the attack on language. It's not just politically correct people that do it. The so-called right wing makes every word bad. And I'm tired of it. But I've used that word and gotten emails about it. That's why in Caddyshack she says, you're dressed up like a couple of boobies. That means pirate. It's a China Sea group of pirates. But just like thug isn't racist, it just means killer. And it's a group of Arabic raiders that operated for 1,000 years and killed 2 million people, it's estimated. But I digress there again. I need to go to your calls. What was I getting into there? I was about to break down, well, just the Bible. It's just too incredible. But Christ, they said, Christ, why do you speak in parables? Or why is the Old Testament written where it's hard to understand? He said, because it's not meant for the profane to understand it, basically. But if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you look at it, it's like, whoa, Man, this is knowledge. I mean, I've read Shakespeare. I've read Hemingway. I've read it pretty much all. I've read Solzhenitsyn. I've read Adolf Hitler. And I've never, and that's not even, Mein Kampf's not very well written, by the way. Hitler actually wrote it, you can tell. And I've read nothing like the Bible. And, you know, some of the Levitical stuff really is just rules. It's like the health department wrote it. But other than stuff like that, it's very profound. Let's go ahead and talk to John in Texas. John, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex.
Welcome.
Yo, Alex, that video with the police dog, that was one of the most terrifying videos I've ever seen, I think. That really, I've seen some of the other ones, but this one really sort of made me mad, you know, just.
You know, I'm sorry, I popped in their ear for a moment to ask them to get that video queued up in a news article on it, to print me Steve Watson's article and bring it to me. What were you saying, John?
I just said that video with the police dog attacking that guy that wasn't resistant was one of the most terrifying videos I think I've seen on there as far as police brutality. That was totally uncalled for. That was really just, you know, it's pretty sickening. Just.
Well, it's in Utah, and they're going to bring the article into me. I meant to get to that earlier. I have trouble watching this because here's the deal. I want to reform the police. I don't hate them. The globalists have trained them to do this. They've protected them. Now they know the public's going to come after them. That's how you cause a civil war and federalize. It's a very simple equation, and it makes people completely outraged. They're sick of it. And the answer, police, is not to militarize further and attack the public. The answer is to reform yourselves and realize you've been set up. And that's what it comes down to, and to get good police chiefs and sheriffs in. But they have this guy with his hands up doing nothing with the police dog attacking his neck, trying to kill him. And the cops let him do it in attempted murder. And I would have attacked the dog and they would have killed me. Because, I mean, I instinctively cannot let a dog chew my face. And it goes on and on and on with the dog chewing his face and his mouth. And this is America. And it's just like all the footage we've seen of the dead homeless guy they shoot in Albuquerque. And they let the dog chew on him and make fun of his body while he basically dies and goes into convulsions and uses the bathroom on himself. And the cop pulling up to that scene in Albuquerque goes, "I'm going to kill this guy." That's why he got indicted and is in trial right now. These are mentally ill people. And we need to get the mentally ill cops off the police forces right now. But anything else you'd like to add to this report?
Well, just I know that studying history, the German guards in the concentration camps, Soviet guards, they always had police dogs. When the prisoners got off the train, there were the police dogs letting the dogs chew on them. And it's just a playbook right out of that. It's just, you know.
We wear the Kurtzel helmet, the whole 9 yards. Let me continue. Video. Cops break down door without warrant. Sick dog on man with hands up. Graphic footage has emerged of cops in Utah entering a man's home without a warrant and setting a canine dog on him despite the fact he was surrendering with his hands in the air. The video taken from police body cam was released. See, they don't think this is wrong. They could have killed the guy, chewed his neck, and ripped his lower lip off as part of a lawsuit filed against the West Jordan Police Department by Lee Hogolet, who was viciously attacked with a dog. I want to get him on and his lawyer, guys. Go after him. And then he lays there bleeding with his throat and arteries torn open and face torn off. And this is the reign of terror. Tyrants always think that a reign of terror is the... Oh, my God, I can't even hardly look at this. That a reign of terror is the way to go. And then they wonder why people start fighting back. And... look, it's all part of the plan. Do you think we can avert the Civil War? Well, John just hung up. Iam in Florida. I'm sorry, I thought he was calling himself I am. Iam in Florida, thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Well, thanks for pronouncing it right. It is Iam. And Alex, I mean, that caller leading up to me, it's perfect because, you know, I hesitate to call. It's the 5th time in 10 years. And the only thing that hasn't changed in 10 years, because so much has, is the fact that I use my name. You know, I'm calling from the beach here in the town in Florida that I grew up in on a cell phone with no VPN. I'm not scripted. I don't write down, you know, what I'm going to talk about. Just like you're legit and unscripted. And that's my preface to just kind of, I have 2 points to raise, but real quickly, you know, my heart races more than any woman I've met in my life or anything when I call into this show. And it's because all of this is very real. And it's, you know, the question in my heart is what's next? You know, and
exactly. That's why I'm so desperate, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, because, man, we're descending into evil. Go ahead.
Unbelievably intensified global rise, you know, against all of us. And I'm not a veteran. I'm not an active duty. I don't have a cache of weapons. I'm just trying to raise my son and do a good job in life. But because I can articulate the knowledge I have, you know, to the hordes of schmitties out there with a totally inept intellectual mindset, you know, trained to be that way. Just because I can do that, I am the enemy. I am the threat to this march towards a UN, NATO, world army, right? I mean,
that's it. You
really
recognize what's in your face. You don't want to be a slave. Therefore, you're evil.
Yeah, and so what is next? Why do I not want to call in? Why does my heart pound as I'm on hold for 40 minutes? And why can't I even get to my 2 points? And I have to explain this. I know my soul is what calls me to call you, because this show is real, and we are on the tip of most of what's going on around the world.
But your flesh wants to live in denial and just enjoy itself and ignore what's happening.
Not the denial. I want to lay my knowledge and my ability to articulate it down to the feet of the ridicule that's been trained into these hordes of schmitties out there. But to my point, Alex, I mean, all I'm raising is that what are they going to do? Come scoop me up in the middle of the night because I don't hide who I am when I call you over the
No. We're actually winning. The average cop is waking up. The average bureaucrat's waking up. There's just pockets of bad people being protected by the globalists. We are on the verge of actually overturning a lot of this. We need to go through our fear and realize that all of us collectively, George Orwell said the New World Order, the system you're going to live under, is a boot stomping on the human face forever. Well, no, it's not. It's a police dog chewing on your children's necks forever. While you have total control, Christ-like, knowing you'll be killed, putting your hands down and letting a wild animal that thirsts for blood chew your throat and face off. I mean, no one I've ever heard of can put their hands down and let a dog, but he knew they were going to kill him. So he's self-preservation, focused. I mean, that's like Beyond Dune, where he's got to stick his hand in the pain induction vise and it's frying. I mean, this is real. A dog's ripping your lips off, ripping your throat open with enjoyment for a minute, and he just sits there with the cops hoping he moves so they can kill him, yelling at him. I think we got to play it with the audio later. And he just Christ-like takes it. I'm not saying he's a perfect person. The point is, without a warrant, they come in. That is the New World Order. I mean, can you believe that footage?
Alex, I can't believe it. And back to my point, and I watched it several times. It disgusts me. I mean, I'm one of those people who's able to stare at the most disgusting things in the world. So I watch the beheadings as much as, you know, it makes me viscerally unable to eat for a day. But I do. I stare at it. I went through the purge of feeling accountable for all the things I hid from before I woke up 8 years ago. But back to my point is honestly, the Fusion Center, locally even, they're listening. And if they're doing their job, which I believe they are, you know, they're listening. And so if they were to scoop somebody up like me, before I get to my 2 points real quick, my fear, you know, I want to be there for my son. But
you're going to be scooped up by the beast system if you don't fight it and change it and create a community to resist it by having your own infrastructure. We're going to break. I got to go to Adam and Phil. Make your 2 points.
Well, the 2 points quickly, all of the little commercials that all your staff are making in real time for us each day, on point. I can't find anything but appreciating and enjoying them. I hope they're available for us to share online.
Well, just a correction, they're not commercials. They're little 1-minute info bulletins. Go ahead.
They're awesome. They're awesome. And the other thing real quick before break is if MSNBC and Rachel Maddow and all their scam artists are only getting 100,000 at any one time.
Well, that's their average show. She gets 500,000. She's the big daddy over there, but go ahead.
Well, then, if there's anybody out there like me in this country, and I know there are hundreds of thousands of us, guess what? We're the ones scanning what these people are brainwashing the hordes around us every day with. So we're the ones that are watching.
Oh, that's a good point. Most of their audience is us monitoring enemy transmissions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, that's another thing. They have the Pentagon and all these groups listen to us. Do you know how many PR people and Pentagon folks have told me in person that I've run into on the street that they got woken up because they were ordered to listen and monitor and counter us? Can you imagine? They're listening, checking out what we're saying, and finding out it's true, brother?
Yeah, in Delray Beach, Florida, all the cops here have become paramilitarized. They've accepted grants for black uniforms in exchange, and it's a peaceful town. They don't like a large police record.
They're gearing up for martial law and financial collapse. More calls coming up. The truth is our police have been militarized. They've been trained to be killers. And they're using threat force levels that you would use on a armed child molester holding hostages on the general public for things like speeding ticket warrants. And it's truly insane. Video, cops break down door without warrant, sick dog on man with hands up. Now, if you're a radio listener, you can go to Infowars.com, and right on the main page, you can see the free video player there and just watch what we're about to show. This has been bleeped, and we're going to go ahead and roll the first minute of the 4-minute video. Here it is.
Go get him. Stand in.
Go get him. They're breaking in the house without a warrant. The man has his hands up.
Pyro, here. Flat. On the... Pyro, here. Here.
This is without a warrant.
Just show me your hands.
Show me your hands. The guy's not armed, nothing.
Stand up slowly. Stand up slowly.
The guy just sits there, hands are up.
Stand up slowly. Stand up slowly, I'm going to send the dog. I can't see your hands.
His hands are right there.
Stand up slowly and come out to us. Pass. Pass.
The guy's about to get up. Didn't even give him time.
Out! Out!
Look at that.
Out!
Ripping his face off and his throat.
Out!
This ought to be the new American flag, is a man letting a dog rip his face off.
On the ground now! On the ground! On the ground now!
And look, on the ground now like he did something bad. It's like when they're breaking those pro-lifers' arms in a video, they'll then beat them with batons like, I broke your arm, compound fracture, you deserve this, beat, beat, beat. Just mental illness.
On your stomach!
They're getting off on it. You do not need to hire sadists to be police. It's really simple. And look, they're letting the dog bite him some more. Only in America. It's not enough to rip his face off and his neck out. Now the dog needs another snack. He joins in with them all. I shouldn't laugh. This is so sick.
They're tasing him in the butt, too. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. They tase him in the butt while he's in handcuffs. So he's being tased, jerking, while the dog's biting him. The dog is continuing to try to rip his testicles off, biting him in the groin and the butt. I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's so sick. And they're tasing him. I mean, this country is so screwed up. By the way, he's white. Can you imagine if he was black?
Oh. Yeah, you got a good taser, buddy.
Oh, look, they're laughing. He's going, oh, with his face ripped off. And they're like, you got taser, buddy.
Pretty good there.
Look what he did there. They're enjoying it. You know these cops are going to get horrible cancer and stuff. Their kids will die in car wrecks. God's going to hit them.
I was like, oh, my.
Evil people. People really who are evil and get off on this.
Fire's in the backyard. It's in a barrel, though. That's not a good way to prove you're a man. By doing nothing and sitting on my couch in my home.
That's not a good way to prove you're a man.
Friends, but it's got to happen after all the policing stuff happens, you know?
See, now he's not a... They're telling him he's not a man. Yes. They have to come and tell him he's not a man after they've attacked him. This is just mental illness. The country's gone. In fact, let's plug the YouTube channel that has that. It's up on Infowars.com in the story. We can click through the actual channel. I'll plug who those folks are. But they have released this information. There is a right to be free from unlawful entry under the Fourth Amendment. His attorney, Robert Sykes, said, we have the officer without a warrant kicking down a door and going in someone's home and then attacking him with a dog and then acting like he did something wrong. Simply amazing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with the third hour going directly to Adam and Phil. We're going to get another update with new developments with the police being indicted in Baltimore with our reporters in the middle of the celebration that's going on there. Folks they're talking to, though, don't think it's enough that they've been charged with manslaughter, second degree. You'll have trouble getting that conviction. That charge may be too high, and I don't mean in reality too high. I mean in the courts. The same checks and balances that protect you and I protect the police. And there's not video. It's all confused. If they went for murder one, they'd have to have proof of the cops meeting in secret and deciding to go out and kill this guy. They obviously didn't do that. It's manslaughter. And that's going to be hard to prove. I'm talking about how courts actually work, not how people want them to work. Let's talk to Adam in Canada. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for holding, brother. I appreciate you. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I want to diverge from our conversation yesterday and talk about Jade Helm. You know, I think that the chance of them dropping a false flag is greatly diminished by the spotlight of Alex Jones. And kudos on getting Abbott, your governor there, to shine the spotlight.
Well, I want to be clear. It's not me. I'm kind of like the switch in the machine of the spotlight. The listeners are what made the phone calls, sent our articles out, went to Bastrop, went to public events, called the governor. It's the listeners that did it.
Absolutely. And you guys, and you do have some, you know, rabid followers. I have been a great fan of yours for many years. We just see things a little bit differently. But getting back to Jade Helm, I think the only way that they would successfully be able to engage the Jade Helm operatives during a false flag would, if it was a huge one, race riots across multiple cities, a bio attack, an economic collapse.
Sure, and they'd have to have the military pre-deployed to ever respond. It takes too much time to move that into place. That's why these drills are dangerous, because the military doesn't know it could go live, but I believe it could go live. The more I see, the way they're freaking out about it shows we hit a nerve. We cover all these drills. Why are they freaking out about this one?
Well, this is the largest one that's happened in the last 10 years. Apparently, this is the largest one that's ever happened on American soil, and I think you're right. I think it is a dangerous precedent to allow these types of acts, these types of exercises to occur in the community. They do have huge swaths of land allocated for the military.
Fort Hood is the size of like 3 or 4 Dallases. I mean, the military has huge bases. They're basically occupying major trailheads around the country permanently, searching packers. I mean, this is all about acclimating the public. Thank you, Adam. But the media is spinning it that we hate the military. That's how dumb I think the public is. No, we hate the orders they're being given. Phil in Baltimore, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, Phil, go ahead. Thank you for holding.
Hey, no problem there, Alex.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to get on the whole thing with what's been going on up here in Baltimore, because it's just been ridiculous seeing these Humvees and stuff driving around. And I watch the news a lot, and I'm sitting here, they're talking about all the stuff going on down on North Avenue in Pennsylvania, but they have not once mentioned the shots fired or the cop getting stabbed down in the Brooklyn area.
Well, I think they've had like 25 police wounded, a couple of them shot, stabbed. Yeah, the media's not covering that, and that's the thing. The police are being attacked. That's going to make them either quit or get ramped up and start acting crazy. Because, I mean, believe me, I couldn't be a cop. I mean, if I was in these bad neighborhoods dealing with all this craziness constantly, I would end up going, very aggressive. Maybe that's why you don't need people like me to be in bad areas as a police officer. I mean, it takes like a social worker type to be able to not go crazy in situations that are really stressful. I mean, I grew up in Dallas, and I went into bad areas sometimes, and it's pretty scary. And let me tell you, you go into the wrong poor white area in East Texas, you'll get shot at, too, as well. Stay there. I want to come back to you, Phil. Let you finish your point. Then we're going to get an update from Jakari Jackson and Joe Biggs. Back when I would cover this 20 years ago on air, I certainly didn't break it. People were covering it at the John Birch Society since the 60s. People would go to the library. They'd go to Congress. They would go to the National Archives. They didn't believe me that public law on the books, 87-297, calls for an incremental program by the year 2000, which they're behind on, to disarm all police, all citizens, except for a UN peacekeeper force to be in every U.S. city. Well, the story is up on Infowars.com right now by Kit Daniels. Did you know a law is on the books to disarm all Americans? Law provides impetus for ultimate world disarmament and UN control over the military. Only the UN can be armed because they're not for war. They're the peace army. Lay down your arms. We are here to help. It's been on the books since '61, And just ask Kitty, did a great job putting this out real fast when I asked him to at the start of the show. Have him just go to the actual manual and show screenshots of the U.S. military getting smaller, the helmets getting smaller, and the UN helmets getting bigger, where we're disarmed and then they occupy. Because folks are in the comments going, is this real? We've got links to Congress, links to everything. But look in the document cam. If you're a TV viewer. Authenticated U.S. government information, GPO. It even has a seal on it. From the original pass, Title I, Public Law 87-297, September 26, 1961. Yes, this is real. And they say the foreign policy is the total disarmament of our military, our police, and our citizens with a national stability force run by the UN, and that's the RAND Corporation plan that comes out a decade later. And is updated yearly and is public to put troops on every street corner. It doesn't matter if they have 360-something news articles a day saying I'm a liar. It's 360 yesterday, it's over 100 today, saying I'm a liar. Hoping they can prey on you, hoping you're stupid, hoping you're lazy, hoping you just won't check me out. I'm not lying about anything. Do I make mistakes sometimes? You better believe it. I don't want a civil war. I don't want the new protest to shoot cops that the Soros-affiliated groups are pushing. I know the cops are doing horrible stuff in some areas because of their training and what's happened. It's been designed to enter a psychological, mental, spiritual virus into the country that brings us down. And it's here. Everything we warned you about, you can just see us marching into it. The good news is a lot of people know what's happening. And for every bad department of crazy goons that like to sick dogs on an innocent person's face, like we just showed last hour that's on Infowars.com, the cops I talk to around the country are probably one of the biggest groups of awake people. Military first, then police. The problem is they're not in control. And the higher you go up in most of these departments, the more political and the worse it gets. And you find out your police chief is getting awards from the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL. Of the most made-up, degenerate, false, lying, slanderous, basically MSNBC talking points. The same ones cheering on the cops being indicted, and it's the cops, and if we just bring the local cops down, that's how we'll have revolution. You won't fix it just blaming the police. You know what rolls downhill. That's my point. Yeah, after we've arrested the globalists and the Clintons and kicked out the Federal Reserve and cut taxes and restored our power plants and gotten clean vaccines and gotten the fluoride out of the water, after we've done all that, if we want to have some big cleanup of bad police departments, sure. But you're not going to fix things shooting cops or protesting or, yay, cops, 6 cops been indicted, yay. It's being directed by Michael Moore and George Soros. That's all I'm saying. And now there'll be more of these shootings, and some will be real, some won't. Some will be bad cops, some won't, like the Brown case. Some will be 50-50. Zimmerman, acting foolish, but also the other guy being, out of control. Black witnesses said he was bouncing his head on the ground. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't a thug when I was growing up, but I was mean. And if some guy was walking through and I lived somewhere and some guy walked up with a gun and pointed it at me, I might have done what he did. I might have got killed. In fact, I don't want to tell these stories because they sound just too ridiculous. But I mean, truth, straight, and fiction. I've had people pull guns on me twice. But both times they were thugs. And I just thank my lucky stars I'm still alive. Oh, my God. The things I did, I was not trained to take guns away from people, but I still just did it. And one time, 2 guys on a country road were going out to pick up some girlfriends in another town. Me and a friend, Mark, and this guy got right up on our tail. Mark put on his brakes. The guy swung around, almost hit us, pulled in front, slammed on his brakes. Mark gets out. These 2 guys get out, and they've got deer rifles. And Mark just charges up, starts taking the deer rifle away. The other guy takes it with the barrel, with the sight on it, and puts it in his head and rips it open. Starts bleeding. And I kick the guy in the chest, knock him down. And the guy goes, that's it, I'm pulling the trigger. And I said, go ahead and murder me, you coward. Or put the gun down and stand up fighting. The guy just said, let us get out of here. And they got in their car and drove off. So I can't really sit there and talk about Trayvon Martin because the difference is, though, it was raining. I get young people wear hoodies, but people see somebody creeping around a hoodie. It looks suspicious. Looking at things. We don't know the truth of what happened. But it's hard to judge each side of that. And I'm now digressing. There was another time somebody pulled a gun on me, and I'm not even going to tell that story. But let's just say, thank God my children are being raised in Austin instead of Dallas, Texas. And I can tell you now, Austin's becoming more like Dallas, where I grew up. And with it, the cops are going to get more out of control because it's going to be a hellish job. I would not want their job. I mean, you either get out of it in a bad area or you go crazy. And I've known people. I mean, I grew up working every summer for a large animal vet, and then I was kicked out of school for fighting when I was 16. For 12 months, or about 11 months, I worked for a large animal vet. And I go out to these big, giant industrial beef farms where the cows were wild. They were out on grass, and they got vaccinated every few years, but were wild. They weren't like more domesticated cows. Big beef ranches that basically that produce hamburger meat, not steaks. That's the kind of meat. It's really healthy meat, and there'd be 500 cattle in each one of these big pens, sometimes a couple thousand we had to go through in a day. And I'd watch all these cowboys pull up who were the real deal. You never see these people on TV. You got to make a reality TV show, but nobody could watch it. And they would get all hyped up like coyotes or something, chasing and like go out there for like 12 hours. They had to pay them a lot, by the way, or they wouldn't get them to get real cowboys out there. Usually they were hauling gravel part-time or owned a few dump trucks and were really crazy. I'm not going to tell all the stories. Man, you could make a movie about it. I mean, these guys were the real deal. I wish I could. It's not family-oriented. I can't tell any of it. And, man, they'd sit there and go, you little wimp, you think you're tough? Get it? And I mean, they were just in there. Electric dehorners, just like real cattle prods, not hot shots, in there with wild cattle. If you didn't keep them intimidated, they overran you immediately. Very dangerous. People got killed all the time. I never saw anybody get killed, but the vet I worked for had almost been killed, and a lot of guys couldn't do it anymore because they'd been hurt. It's a very macho job. And the same thing happens with police. You just get fired up in these bad areas, and and then you become what you think you're fighting. There, I've given you some psychology behind that, why I have an understanding of it. I mean, sometimes those guys were so macho, those cowboys, that when I was first doing it a few summers, they had me working mainly at ranches, and then I got put in working for the actual large animal vet that did the big industrial stuff. And you'd have a full-size steer, and I'd be in there with a bunch of them and jump over a fence when they rammed into the wall or something. They go, you're going to get killed, you little bleeper, acting like that. You're going to get in there like this. And just run over like some big 6'4" guy, go like 45 years old, go, rah, just grab a full steer and just go, rah, and by the horns, just flop it over the ground and go, rah, rah, that's what you do, you little wimp. I bet you think you're tough down here fighting in Dallas. I will beat your ass right now. They were like worse than drill sergeants. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I've seen. I guess that's where I come from. That's why I'm just telling you, folks, that's where all this is coming from. And it's going to blow up in a civil war, and it's not a good situation. Phil in Baltimore, thanks for holding so long. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, no problem.
Info from Maryland. You're talking about what you're seeing and what's going on.
Yeah, like, it's just gotten crazy. The night after the original riots, all the stuff over in Brooklyn started happening. Haven't seen anything. And then I've been watching on Twitter and everything, and a bunch of my friends of ours have been talking about it, saying that if the indictments don't go through and if they're acquitted, how Monday's going to seem like nothing compared to what's coming. And that's got me wanting to get my daughter out of Baltimore for a while.
Well, I tell you, you notice it's all these so-called liberal cities where this is going on. I don't know if it's going to be this summer, the next summer. This country's unsustainable with 100 million people on welfare. It's a thug culture in all the groups that's growing, including the cops. This country's going under judgment, brother. That's my view.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard here, like, trying to find a job. It's even, I know people who college educated are stuck working at like McDonald's and stuff because it's gotten hard around here.
I know. I know a lot of PhDs that are hard working at H-E-B food stores. God bless you, brother. I'm going to go to break, go back to our reporters who I forgot are there. Apologize. I get wound up. Flashbacks, basically. And then we're going to go to Otto, Chris, Skyler, Rich, and others, Joe Biggs and Jakari Jackson, when we return. The latest developments from the celebration of the 6 police being indicted for second-degree manslaughter coming up. Briefly, don't forget, I extended it 3 days. And you get 20% off, the biggest sale ever. We've only done that one time before, on all of the Pro Pure G2 systems and all of the accoutrements. 20% off at InfoWarsStore.com, and free shipping and 50% off the Survival Shield. I mean, a whole bunch of the products, a bunch of big specials. They all in. Take advantage of it and support the transmission. InfoWars Live. We're going to go to break after this quick segment and come back with your calls. Right now, Joe Biggs and Jakari Jackson join us from Baltimore, Maryland, the scene of the last week's globalist extravaganza and the police stand down. Now 6 police indicted. What are the latest developments, Joe Biggs and Jakari Jackson?
Roger that. Joe Biggs here in occupied Baltimore at North and Penn, where right now we have a convoy of Humvees moving into a formation right now. There is a huge military presence. And one of the key things to note here is if we can get a look at some of the magazines on these weapons, they actually have the magazines in place today. The other day we saw them, they had no magazines in the wells whatsoever. Today they actually have them inside. So whether or not they're locked and loaded, I don't know, but they've definitely, the image has changed on how they're presenting themselves out here to the public today.
Well, you had said that you hope that they don't re-escalate like you saw in Ferguson. Talk about that.
Well, the thing with that is, I don't think it's going to happen now based off the fact that they've come down with charges. But here's the key thing, though. This is only a first step in the entire process, like we said before. They still have to decide whether or not they will indict these officers. And if it comes down to the fact that they go through a whole bunch of hearings and decide not to indict, then it's going to be that vacuum. Then that's when Baltimore will be 10 times worse than this previous Monday. You know, this is a much bigger city than Ferguson. This has a much more dynamic crowd of people, a lot more area to cover. So hopefully something like that doesn't happen. But if it does, I'm sure we'll be back out here covering that again as well.
Other observations, Joe?
Well, so far, everyone we've talked to is extremely happy about what's happened today with the 6 officers being charged. Now, a few people aren't so happy that they didn't all get the highest charge possible, you know, but obviously not everybody was involved as much as another officer would be. But I think at the end of the day, most people know that some people are going to go to jail in this entire ordeal, and that's kind of enough, they feel, for justice, to make a statement for the rest of America that justice can be served and that police brutality is being brought to the forefront of America's minds. And they're actually seeing this stuff finally for what the people of Baltimore have seen their entire lives.
It really is surreal to see the National Guard in full combat gear with loaded magazines deploying, and one of them is about to walk right up. We'll see if he tries to get you to move. This is, he is honking at you. This is really over the top. Let's see if he tries to order you out of the way. Let's see what happens here. Joe, or maybe you can talk to him here in a second. But do you feel like you're back in Iraq or Afghanistan?
Yeah, it's a little weird being on the other end now. You know, I'm used to being up on the up-armored vehicle, and now I'm down here, and the streets actually seen it from that side.
Well, that's good. He didn't act like thug cops do sometimes. He just got out of your way and went to the other side instead of ordering you around. Let's see if... how's the military been acting? I think you said earlier pretty polite.
Yeah, so far they've all been pretty polite. They know that their place here is not #1 in priority when it comes to dealing with the crowds and any kind of civil disobedience whatsoever. They know that they're here more if worst case scenario happens, they're backup. So they know their role. They've been playing it pretty well. But, you know, like I said, it's really awkward. People, when they watch TV, they think that the curfew means that just people have to go home. No, what this means is this isn't like Ferguson where there was a curfew for that area, that specific area in the St. Louis area. All of Baltimore is essentially locked down. Come 8 o'clock, you cannot go to a restaurant at night. Jakari and I tried to go have dinner last night. We had to beg the cook to keep the line open just a little bit longer so we could actually eat something. You can't do anything. 8 o'clock comes, they shut it down. Then 10 o'clock comes, you can't be on the roads. You can't be out. If you are, you're subject to arrest. The helicopters are flying in the air, giving orders. The cops are out. The military is out. This is a complete and total war zone, so to say, and how it's an occupied country.
Well, it makes me think of the Jello Biafra piece that he put out with Ice-T like 25 years ago, where he simulates martial law and the announcement being made. Stay in your homes. Anyone caught outside their sector after dark will be shot. I mean, it's just ridiculous that this continues to happen. And it all came out of a stand down with a couple hundred thugs burning and shooting when they just should have arrested them, and if they resisted, shot them. And then you would have had no more thugs ever anywhere doing this. Instead, they've escalated it now, and now it looks like looting is what made the cops get indicted when it probably would have already happened. It's like the cop that shot the guy in the back. He's already been indicted. Most of the time they get indicted. The reason the cops didn't get indicted with the Brown situation is because the witnesses came out and he charged him and attacked him. Joe, I want to come back to you with some final comments. Amazing. But I want to, during the video feed, during the break, let's just keep the camera going, Joe, and we'll show people what you're witnessing out there for TV viewers. Radio listeners, everybody else, stay with us. Infowars.com/show to see the action.
America is now under martial law. All constitutional rights have been suspended. Stay in your homes. Do not attempt to contact loved ones, insurance agents, or attorneys. Shut up. Do not attempt to think, or depression may occur. Stay in your homes. Curfew is at 7 p.m. sharp after work. Anyone caught outside the gates of their subdivisions after curfew will be shot. Remain calm. Do not panic. Your neighborhood watch officer will be by to collect urine samples in the morning. Anyone interfering with the collection of urine samples will be shot. Houses will be inspected for trace elements at noon. Anyone failing to display the mandatory will be shot. Stay in your homes. Remain calm. The number one enemy of progress is questions. National security is more important than individual rights. Under the provisions of the War on Drugs, Zero Tolerance, and the Child Protection and Obscenity Enforcement Act. All right,
folks, that's Jello Biafra 20 years ago doing a spoken word of a mock martial law announcement. We should do a more focused, serious one. I'm not knocking the fact there's some humor in there. Ourselves to announce what martial law could look like in a simulated newscast. They do that for anthrax attacks or whatever. It's totally legitimate to do. We'll be attacked for doing it, of course, because it's so effective. But I'm going to do that next week. I want that put on the board. I'm going to develop it. I'm going to write it with you guys. We're going to do it. Going back for final comments from Joe Biggs and Jakari Jackson from Baltimore, then we'll talk to Otto and others that are holding. Joe, I noticed the Humvees have rolled out to another location. Other points that you need to make?
Yeah, like I said, if you can see, everybody's starting to gather all through here, Alex. And where we are again is at North and Penn. This has been the focal point for protests over the last week. Over here to my right is the CVS pharmacy that everyone saw on TV. This is the one that was looted and burnt down. People have been gathering out here all day, peacefully protesting. The cops have kind of held back. They're more helping to regulate the traffic flow in and out of this intersection so far. There's a larger presence of military down the road, a couple hundred yards that way. They've got fire trucks up there, the MRAPs, 7 Humvees or so, a couple LMTVs, FMTVs, and SWAT vehicles as well. So there's a large presence here, but what they've done so far, they're lining a lot of the businesses. If you have a look over here, a lot of the police officers are lining the businesses around the corners of the intersection on all sides of the road. So that's what's going on right now. People are driving up and down the roads, honking their horns, much like happened in Ferguson. We were there. People hanging outside of the windows, screaming, shouting, waving flags through the air. You can see there's some people walking around with the American flag over here, waving it. People are just celebrating because they knew that wrong was done. They knew that Freddie Gray was murdered, and everybody here feels like they've gotten the justice that they want so far in this healing process in Baltimore.
I noticed burned out businesses across the street right there. I see a burned out CVS.
Yeah, that's the CVS that we saw on TV. We'll go over here and look. Let you guys see a little bit closer.
And again, he has a directional mic, folks. It's just deafeningly loud out there. I'd imagine you're getting sick of the sound of horns.
No, I've gotten used to it after being in Ferguson for 2 months. My ears have gotten used to it, much like a nagging wife.
All right. Well, Joe Biggs, thank you so much.
That was one of the focal points.
Any other points you'd like to make, Joe?
So far, what we're going to do, we're just going to go around and talk to people, ask people what they feel about the decision to charge these officers and see how people feel if there's any mixed emotions. So far, there's no negative feelings, obviously, towards it because we're right in the middle of their neighborhood. This is where it happened. All the people here are extremely happy about the charges being brought upon. The officers, everyone at this point is just praying for an indictment. We'll see what happens. It takes time.
All right. Well, the Justice Department's obviously in there manipulating the whole thing. Thank you so much, Joe Biggs.
Thank you, Alex.
Does Shikari have any other points you'd like to make?
No.
All right. Well, you guys get those interviews, and then if you want, you were going to stay till Sunday. If you want to come back earlier, come on home, because at least until now, or until a trial comes up or they end up not having a trial, there probably won't be a lot of other activity there. There'll undoubtedly be a new hot spot, though, and we'll continue to track this because there's a long, hot summer coming up, and they're predicting a real summer of flames.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I've heard as well. All on Twitter, all on Facebook, there's a lot of people talking like it's going to be, they're calling it the summer of Ferguson. So we'll see what happens. We'll be covering and watching these stories closely as they break.
Well, the new hobby needs to be not rioting with the police. It needs to be peacefully demonstrating and trying to get our Bill of Rights back. And most of the folks are trying to do that. It's the thugs that give everybody a bad name. Thank you so much, Joe Biggs.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to just call until we go to break. Then I'm going to come back and hit a bunch of news we haven't covered yet. Just very, very briefly, I'm not going to belabor this. We're extending the sale on the 2 bottles of nascent iodine and the free bottle Fluoride Shield Detox Chelator. Just incredibly high-quality products, and it supports the broadcast. Free shipping on that and a free bottle. There's an even better deal. You can get 2 bottles of high-quality colloidal silver, a silver bullet, at 50% off, and get a free bottle of Fluoride Shield. Absolutely free with that, and free shipping. That is a win-win-win-win-win. And we've only done this one other time before, last year. 20% off with promo code WATER20 on all ProPure G2 systems. We already have the lowest price and are the biggest distributor of these worldwide. Super high quality, side-by-side comparisons to the leading competitors and gravity-fed stainless steel filters. It just blows them away. Cuts out the fluoride, the glyphosates. It's just amazing. Removes or reduces hundreds of other toxins. You're insane not to filter your water. We have the side-by-side taste test at InfoWarsStore.com. 20% out at checkout on promo code WATER20. 20% off. We've extended it 72 hours until Sunday night into Monday morning, and then I'm not extending it. We'll probably have some other sale on some of the other items, obviously. That's free market activity. There's a bunch of other specials I haven't told you about, but in the interest of time, just check them out, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And listen, callers call in thanking me. Please don't do it. I want to thank you putting up with me. You supporting us, you buying the products and helping us build this. You do not stand behind us or beside us or in front of us. You stand at the heart of InfoWars. You helped build it. You did it. Thank you for buying the T-shirts. Thank you for buying the books and videos and water filters. Plus, they help you. Thank you. I mean, we're all in this together. You're the best people out there. You humble me when families with their children run up and are like shaking, looking at me with stars in their eyes. I got stars in my eyes for you. People that care about freedom and are dialed in and awake. And I got to tell you, our listeners have that sparkle in their eye. I don't care what color they are, and it makes me love humanity even more. So I salute you for your support. Thank you so much, and I salute our crew, our affiliates, our sponsors, everybody. You make it possible. Otto in Texas, thanks for holding. Go ahead.
How's it going, Alex?
Good, brother.
Good, man. Hey, a couple quick things. Maybe a bit of good news and continue what you just said. Definitely enjoy all your products. I use just about every one of them, and a lot of the family members as well. Anyway, I read an article yesterday. I live here in Victoria, Texas, and on this Jade Helm, it said realistic military training canceled in Crossroads, and I guess it says that the controversial Jade Helm is expected to begin this summer, will not take place in Victoria and Goliad counties. The Victoria County Sheriff's Office confirmed Wednesday. And I guess back in December, they had another article that said that it was going to be here. I'm not sure how. I know a lot of the citizens around here were asking a lot of questions, and I'm not sure how it got canceled in these counties, but that's what the article said.
Really? Say that again. You're saying, oh, there it is. Victoria Advocate, realistic military training canceled in Crossroads. Oh, please print that out. That's big news breaking yesterday. A lot of towns I know were cutting it back because it was going to be snatch and grab, gun confiscation. We've seen this in Arcadia, Iowa, and all over the drills. We could read the documents and tell that was going to be peppered in there. But, yeah, there's a big, big backlash against this. And that's good because we're not against the troops. We're against the globalists trying to condition us to accept being occupied by them. And that's why. The public knows something's afoot. Everybody senses that. The other day I was pulling out onto the road, and you can't really see where I live when cars are coming, but they don't come very often. And I thought, I better look both ways, be really safe. And some car was like speeding, came shooting by. There was a car parked out there. I couldn't see it, and I would have been hit. But it's kind of that sixth sense. And people see the signs, they feel it. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we don't trust anything this occupied government's saying, Otto.
No, I agree. I think the people around here, definitely, I know a lot of the citizens and people I've talked to around here, everyone kind of was aware of it, even since back December, because there was another article saying that, if you saw anything, you're supposed to report it because it was supposed to be a failure. And then when the stuff broke about Jade Helm, everybody kind of put two and two together. I guess that was probably the same thing. And then, well,
sure, and they're creating citizen spies to spy on the Tea Party. I mean, not on drug dealers or Wahhabists. But there's the article. I'll read part of it. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Controversial special operations realistic training expected to begin this summer will not take place in Victoria and Goliad counties. The Victoria Sheriff's Department said after the exercise and the release of an unclassified document labeling both Texas and Utah as hostile, theorists began to question whether the realistic exercise known as Jade Helm was a preparation for martial law. But see, implying we were saying it's going to happen. No, of course it's preparation. Chief Deputy Roy Boyd told the Advocate in December the U.S. Army Operations Command chose the Crossroads because Victoria and Goliad counties offered an ideal terrain. And then it just goes on. They would not offer any details about why it was canceled. Okay, thank you so much, caller. Rich in New York, thanks for holding.
Hey, Alex, how you doing, man?
Good, brother.
All right, Alex, what we have here is the Goethals Bridge is a bridge that connects New Jersey to Staten Island, New York. And apparently, go on SILive.com, there's going to be drills between, I think it's 1 and 8 or something like that. The military is doing drills on this bridge.
Really? And again, where is that located exactly?
Okay, that's located, that is one of the connecting bridges between New Jersey and Staten Island, New York. Like I said, SI Live. If you go on that, SILive.com, it says something about it there. People need to know about this. They need to get out there. And we need to monitor this like monitor everything else.
Well, absolutely. It's just gotten bonkers crazy how much of this crud is going on. And again, I don't have a way to have a metric, but I've been following this for 20 years, really 18 intensely. But I've been following it for 20. And on a scale of 1 to 100, it's gone from like a 1 or a 2, and it was still illegal, unconstitutional. We had government documents that it was about conditioning the public to accept it. So we knew the plan, so I was freaked out about it. Now it's like an 80, from a 1 or a 2. I mean, it's just everywhere. And then you learn they've got InfraGard, clergy response, spy teams, federalized police, all this gear. and they're training with attack dogs and machine guns and robots and armored vehicles and surveillance and kill switches and their own cell phone grids. I mean, it's like a Manhattan Project times 100. It's just a huge, giant, submerged tyranny that's starting to rise up out of the ocean like the Kraken.
Crazy. When you go to Times Square, one time it used to be a way different place. Now you go up there, you see these guys dressed in all black with machine guns out, and it looks like an occupied zone.
And notice, it's not for Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda's bigger than ever. ISIS is bigger than ever. Our government's funding them, all admitted. They now go, it's for the Tea Party. It's for the gun owner. So what is it the government has planned that's so evil, so unconstitutional, so tyrannical, so treasonous, so over the top that they know veterans are going to fight them? It's taking the pension funds and taking the guns and arresting political dissidents. And that itself is the takedown of America, because it will blow up. It will cause a civil war. Now, if you were the globalists sitting overseas in their armored redoubts, the few places they can't take over yet, it's where they run to hide from themselves, Switzerland or New Zealand, they run that, but they're leaving that as a safe zone. What would you do if they were them? You would pull this, wouldn't you? If you thought you could sell it. But they don't want us out there putting the counter-narrative out about what's really going on. See, they need to run this in the dark against us. Well, I got news to the boys. You're not doing this with us with our pants down. We're ready. What do you say to that, Rich?
I say it's time to be proactive, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Alex. It's time to be proactive. Watch everything they do, foil everything they try, frustrate them, and they'll make more and more mistakes, and we'll just key on their mistakes and get this thing going. Because
exactly. And they'll say, oh, there's no death panels. Oh, it doesn't raise the debt limit. Oh, 2 + 2 does equal 5. This is literal stuff. We don't want your guns. We're not coming for your guns as they introduce the bills. They play these mind games knowing the general public doesn't check anything. But it doesn't matter if 70% of people can't wipe their hind end. We've got 30%, and guess what? We're the people that actually work, black, white, old, young. We're the people that have something to lose here. And we're working hard, and, man, they think we're working hard now. You know how many seeds I've planted, my listeners have planted, and others have planted, like Ron Paul? We are so ready. We got people that have decided, I said this over a decade ago, we need people to be on the front end public. We need people that go dark, don't communicate with anybody, and make preparations in communications, preparations in InfoWar, preparations for defense, preparations for liberation. I mean, I'm telling you, they start putting people in FEMA camps, baby, the Patriots are coming. And, I mean, can you imagine when the Patriots go into those camps, there's all these pot-bellied communists in there raping families and stuff? I mean, I'm not saying that to freak people out, folks. They want to have the end game is to get their hands on our children. These are demons. These are pedophiles. It was in CNN, breaking, Jimmy Savile raped 20 girls, confirmed. We knew that 10 years ago. It was in the British news 5 years ago. Breaking. I mean, that shows how, of course, CNN has no viewers. People don't want to get news 10 years late, do they?
Alex, I want to ask you a question. Remember we used to hang people for treason? We used to get a rope out when someone is treason. Wouldn't it be real nice to do that right now? To just be able to, the treasonous acts should be answered.
Well, I'll say this. They deserve a jury trial. We need to take the country back, and then we need to have the trials. And we need to give them jury trials. And when people have done open treason against the country, they need to be sent to prison for life. We'll be right back. And some of them do need to be executed. But ran out of time. Today is May Day. It's known as a communist holiday, but the communists were occultists. It goes back to the Druids. There were human sacrifices made on May Day, but also flower festivals and a lot of other stuff. That's basically what May Day is. And notice Obama always makes a bunch of big announcements on May Day, as if communism is for the people. But communism comes out of the Jacobins in France and the Illuminati. That's in mainline history books. It's an ancient Northern Hemisphere spring festival and usually a public holiday. It's also a traditional spring holiday in many cultures. Dances, singing, and cakes are usually part of it. The 19th century, May Day was chosen the day for International Workers' Day by socialists and communists in the Second International to commemorate the Haymarket Affair in Chicago. In those countries to celebrate International Workers' Day, the day many also may be referred to as May Day, but it is a different celebration from the traditional May Day. And let's go back to your calls. Then I'll do a little bit of overdrive and finish some of the news on the economy and world news I haven't gotten to. Chris, thank you for holding from North Carolina. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex. I want to talk about the logo for Jade Helm. I've seen a video on YouTube and some other places. The blob in the middle where the arrows cross over the sword, it's like a wooden shoe, like a clog. And the guy was tying it into the wooden shoes that they wore at the concentration camp. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, the main Jade Helm symbol I've seen in the Army documents is a sword cutting through arrows, and that's a symbol of the arrows is American might and American defense, which should be American gun owners, in my view, and the dagger is shattering them. I mean, that's what it means. It means take out a other military force, and it's shown as arrows that the United States, since its inception, with the eagle, with the olive branch in one hand, but the weapons in the other, is the arrows. So that's the Jade Helm symbol I've seen. What Jade Helm symbol are you talking about?
It's the main one. It's just where it looks like the arrows are breaking. It's not. It's almost like a translucent shoe, but the guy zooms in and
no, I do see it. I see it. Looks like a shoe and a.
Yeah. It's like a wooden clog with a design on the front of it.
I do see it. You're right.
So, yeah, he was tying that into the prison camps in Germany because they wore wooden clogs. I thought it was kind of freaky.
It's bizarre. This does have hidden images in it. I didn't even notice that. I thought it was like a bad graphic when I looked at it a month ago when we broke it. It's amazing. But again, this show broke Jade Helm, but you sent us the email, listeners, and then you got the word out. You broke Jade Helm. This is the inverse of CNN or these other channels. We're trying to actually fight these people. We're trying to bring the Republic back. Skyler, thank you, Chris, in California. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, brother.
Well, anyways, I'll make it real quick. I live in California, and so around me, there's a bunch of decadent people, and I always try to wake them up to what's going on, but it's just so hard, because if I try to link them to your website, they're always right off the bat. Oh, that's InfoWars, a tinfoil hat, conspiracy theorist, like a tabloid almost. That's how they project you over here. Like just the other day, I was listening to a local radio, KFI, AM 640, and they're all pro-vaccinations, and they don't take callers like you do. But I was on their Facebook, and I was trying to link them to a bunch of studies, but they were just constantly censoring my posts.
Oh, yeah, studies. We don't need no stinking studies. To be in mainstream media now more and more, you've got to be a liar, and you've got to censor people, and you've got to be afraid of reality. But just keep doing it. They don't have many listeners. It doesn't matter. Just keep bombarding them. And I guarantee you those idiots aren't vaccinating their kids. So it's amazing. We're out of time. For now, we got to go to break. Infowars.com/show to find the free feed. Thanks to all the affiliates. I'll be back Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Pete and others, I'm going to try to jam you in. Stay with us. Nightly News Tonight, 7. Oh, we got David Knight wants to pop in, too. He's got Jade Helm breaking news. Well, the ultra-rich are consolidating power. They don't care. The New York Times lost $14 million this year. Carlos Slim, the Mexican kingpin, owns it. George Soros may face a monster tax bill, Bloomberg reports. Deferring income helped the billionaire hedge fund manager build his fortune. But don't worry, sales of $100 million homes rise to records worldwide because of the elite vertical integration of globalism that is a fraud. That's why they're sicking poor people on the middle class, hoping they don't get caught in their class warfare net. We've got a quick update from David Knight, host of InfoWars Nightly News, on the Jade Helm symbol that we were just discussing. David?
Yeah, Alex, a lot of people have raised questions about what that shoe might mean. I didn't notice it for quite some time. Some people have made ties to the Bund shoe revolution, which is a German revolution that had a lot of parallels to the people that are being oppressed now. Also, the reference to the people who are in prison camps, that's also true. They had wooden shoes. But the way the military has explained it is that those wooden shoes are called sabo, and it's where we get the word sabotage. I think that's the most likely explanation. And we should remember that the special forces that are putting this out there, they're They're working on sabotage. They're working on psyops. That's really what they're talking about when they talk about unconventional
Sabotage
warfare.
means, I guess in French, sandal, wooden sandal to stick it in machinery. Wow, there it is. I think that's the answer. It means sabotage America.
Yes.
And then they're going to tell low-level troops as a psyop, this is for overseas in the main mission directive, so they think we're liars. But once they get to the actual mission, there will be cadres who are training to take over local towns. That's admitted.
Yes, absolutely. That's why we need to be concerned about this. Quite frankly, if this is something that's being used for overseas, I'm quite concerned about an American government that is constantly focused on sabotage, assassination, and the overthrow of other governments. And I think we as a people need to have a discussion about that. That's one of the things that came out of the movie.
I've had family out of the Army that were domestic assassins for the government. They're running around everywhere. Of course, this is for America.
Yes, absolutely.
But of course, it has dual use overseas as well. Who's hosting the Nightly News tonight, David?
Leanne McAdoo.
All right. Well, that should be informative. Great job hosting the show last week.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Jeff in Tejas. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, Alex. I just wanted to bring up a point about the APA colluding with the CIA for secretly to institute the torture programs and all of that, and the implications it has for the DSM-5.
Sure, go ahead.
Also leading into the Soviet-style, Nazi-style diagnosis.
Yeah, they say you're mentally ill if you don't like big government or turn your guns in, so you've got to be taken to a re-education center. That's the model. And they're using it on the veterans right now, disarming hundreds of thousands every few months. The persecution is on. My God, they got them on secret death list. It's here.
It's here, and I'm a student pursuing a marriage and family therapy license, and the things like oppositional defiance disorder and some of the other personality disorders, it's just the implications in the new DSM are just out there, and it's really scary. Because it's almost like we're living in Nazi Germany in the mid-30s.
Yep, well, it's not like it's here, but it won't be racial this time, except with infighting. It's going to be going after the middle class, claiming if you make $125,000 a year, you're the rich pig. That has to be. I mean, it's look, we have cancer. Every other country's fallen to tyranny or gone through this. It's here, folks. There's no doubt. We're in deep. You know what?
One last point to the DSM, and of course, all of that, them colluding to institute, all this torture. It's just scary, and the fact that they did it secretly just blows me away. But the big thing for the DSM is
that's the diagnostics manual for psychology that they add scores of things to every year.
Right, and the big thing about that is, to me, is a lot of the diagnosis. One, there's not really that kind of deep research, longitudinal research, scientific research behind it, and two, a lot of it's just common sense, common depressions that we all experience. I mean, like you ranting on air sometimes, So that's
exactly. It's normal to get upset about tyranny. They call that manic or a bunch of other stuff. Thank you so much. And it discredits real psychology. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to be learned from psychology that has some good elements, but it's run by bad people. It's used for oppression. There's no doubt about that. Okay, I'm out of time. Sorry to Steve, Mike, everybody. We'll probably have extended coverage tonight on the Nightly News. Lord willing, I'll be back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Take advantage of the new sale. Thanks for your support.